Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is story about what if Naruto uses Fox Highschool DxD Part 1. Before I start, please do support for more amazing content and comments for Part 2. Do consider to subscribe my channel and share my video to your friends and check out the description as well. Let's start the video. The next Hokage will then be Shimura Danzo, the daimyo announced. Most people assembled in the hall applauded, but not everyone was happy with this decision. Shikaka sighed. The things just took a turn for the worse. Thank you for your trust, my lord. Danzo bowed in his seat. The Hokage's position is one of power, but also responsibility. A Hokage must work toward the benefit of the whole village and always have its safety on the front of their mind. Danzo was now giving a speech. What a drag. Therefore, it is with great pain that I must request of you to banish Uzumaki Naruto. What? Several voices spoke in surprise. Oh, my, banish the hero of the leaf? That seems unwise. I know it is not perfect, but with Akatsuki's threats still hanging over us, we can't allow him to stay. It is a miracle that the village survived Pain's invasion. Risking the lives of all our shinobi, of so many of your citizens, is it truly wise? I see daimyo seemed to think hard about what he was told. Are you sure it is for the best? We can't allow ourselves another devastation like that caused by Pain. If Konoha is to prosper, Uzumaki Naruto mustn't remain there. If I may suggest. Shikaka decided to try and stop this madness. He could see that daimyo was already convinced, but perhaps there was a chance to salvage at least part of the mess that their new Hokage has already started. Maybe instead of simply banishing him, Uzumaki Naruto should instead be exiled until such time as Akatsuki falls. Order him to destroy it. The threat will be minimized while we retain the powerful shinobi in our ranks. Should he succeed, we will be rid of the problem, and if he fails, there is no loss. It pained Shikaka to speak so easily about it, but he was a shinobi and his suggestion was better than the alternative. Yes. This is perfect. It shall be so. The daimyo happily decided. Uzumaki Naruto is hereby exiled from the Hidden Leaf Village until such time comes as the Akatsuki has fallen. So I have spoken. The haughty man folded his fan and nodded. What a drag. Naruto twisted and turned in his sleeping bag. Soft moans of pain left his throat here and there. Occasionally, he would try to throw his hand in a punch, but the bag stopped him from thrashing around the place too much. In his nightmare, he saw the memory of the fight with Pain. He recalled being finally knocked down. The chakra rods being stabbed into his body to pin him down. The almost unbearable pain. Lately, he was also seeing more flashes of memory. He knew that Hinata was the one to jump to his defense. He could see her in his dreams now. He saw her lips move. She was yelling something, but the ringing in his ears always stopped him from actually learning what exactly she said. Deep down, though, he knew that this was important. His nightmare was interrupted by some arguing outside his temporary house. Groggily, Naruto wiggled himself out of the sleeping bag and got out. With how he fell asleep, he forgot to actually change into his pajama. What? You can't. If it wasn't for Naruto, we wouldn't have Konoha anymore. Naruto was honestly touched. His friends were willing to defend him immediately. They wanted him here. But what were they defending him from? That's enough. Danzo let out an angry snark. The daimyo has made his decision. Well, that decision is stupid, Kiba growled, with Akamaru barking in agreement. Watch your mouth. One of the jonins present tensed, preparing to act in case of insubordination. Danzo lifted his hand, stopping him. Uzumaki will be allowed to return, once he deals with the remaining Akatsuki. A mission? So it's just a mission? Sakura asked, mirroring Naruto's thoughts. No. He shall have no support, and until such time as he is allowed in, he shall be considered a nukenin. Figures the village didn't really want him there. They already had to sacrifice so much for him. That's quite fair. He would make them accept him either way. That's not fair. The voices of protest began again, but a glare from Danzo suddenly shut them all up. Shinobi's life rarely is fair. You shall not question this decision, he warned them. Naruto? Ino looked at her fellow blonde, who seemed awfully quiet. Only then did the others start to notice that he was standing there, looking at them all with a half-asleep gaze. Exile, how he seemed almost apathetic, a stark contrast to his usual cheerful self. Yes. This is for the best of the village. You shall leave before the sun sets, or the ANBU will be forced to treat you like any other invading nukenin, Danzo informed. So I can go wherever I want, as long as it's not Konoha? And I don't have to do any other missions? That is correct. The Rokudame Hokage's voice revealed no emotions, but inside he was already dancing a jig. His plan was going along rather nicely. Naruto! Sakura yelled, scaring the nearby birds that remained there despite the previous rucksack. You can't just give up. What about Sasuke? What about your dream of becoming a Hokage? Guys. It's okay. I can't help much with the rebuilding anyway. I can at least do some good outside the village that way. Just like Ero-sennin did. But... And now I can bring back Sasuke that much easier. He would be able to travel. You can't just... This discussion is over. Uzumaki will be escorted by A and BU to gather whatever belongings remained and then leave the village. If anyone asks, you are to say that he left the village in search of revenge on the Akatsuki. Danzo warned. He had to ensure there would be no protests. Officially, in your grief over what your presence has led to and the death of your mentor, you are abandoning the hidden leaf of your own violation. But no one would believe that. Ino protested. Tsunade has done so years ago. It was only Hiruzen's weak convictions that spared her from being branded a nukenin. For the sake of the stability of this village, none of you shall reveal the truth. His words seemed to echo in everyone's minds. They found themselves unconsciously nodding to that logic. Naruto shrugged and pulled his red haori from the small sack he had and put it on. He picked the giant scroll and attached it to the back with chakra. He didn't allow the scroll to leave his presence for any long period of time. He trusted his fellow Konohanins, but years with Jiraiya have taught him that it's better not to leave anything to blind faith. Especially the number of times his sensei borrowed his hard-earned money to visit some lady friend or another. I'm good to go now. Before anyone could stop him, Naruto was already leaping away from their impromptu gathering place. It was already past noon. He spent almost the whole previous night working on a little side project. Not that he would ever show it to his friends. He hoped to secretly continue the Ika Ika series. Jiraiya made him read through all of them when Naruto was his proofreader. For context, he said. In Naruto's humble opinion, they were not as terrible as he thought. When Jiraiya died, he left Naruto everything, including an unfinished draft for the next part. Well, a draft was perhaps too strong of a word. It was a notebook half filled with notes on women's beauty, half filled with some quotes of couples both young and old, and margins had notes on some jutsus that Naruto's old mentor was trying to make or perfect. At first, the notes on jutsu were the only thing that the teen was interested in. As time progressed, he was bound to actually start reading through the main text as well, since Jiraiya was an awful note-taker, even with his skill in writing. It got to the point where Naruto sort of decided to continue Jiraiya's work. If only to commemorate his sensei's title as self-proclaimed super pervert. Ero-sennin wouldn't be able to think of a better tribute. Remembering another thing he had wished to do, he landed in a small clearing. He was already a good chunk away from Konoha. A low-powered Rasengan was used to dig a small hole, in which Naruto placed a stone. It took him some time to properly etch the kanji for teacher that he wished to decorate the memorial. 2 more stones, one on each side, joined the larger one. Kunai, connected by ninja wire, were now jammed into the top of each rock. Naruto gently put a book in front of the stone. The Tale of a Gutsy Shinobi. I still think it's your best work, Ero-sennin. He chuckled to himself. He was done with grief. He avenged his sensei's death. In exactly the way Jiraiya would have wanted. He sensed someone land behind him. They remained a respectful distance away, but he tensed nonetheless. And Naruto-kun? It was Hinata's voice. You shouldn't really be talking to me, Hinata-chan. I'm now technically a nukenin. She was not looking at him, and she started to twirl her foot in place. I want to go with you, she declared, practically shouting it to the world. Hinata. I'm going on a dangerous mission. That Danzo guy was right. None of you'll be safe until the Akatsuki is dealt with. So I'm gonna deal with them. I can fight. I've gotten stronger. I know. He tried to reassure her. I remember how you've defended me from pain. You remember? She suddenly flushed red and she seemed close to fainting. Naruto suddenly felt a bit uncomfortable. He scratched his neck. I remember you were saying something, but I never really heard you back then. What did you say to me? He decided that maybe being honest and asking the source directly would be the best way to go at it. Who knows? Maybe it would even help his nightmares. Look out. She leaped at him. Hakkuhakishu, 8 trigrams vacuum wall palm. 2 waves of compressed chakra left her palms and knocked several samban away from the air. 2 managed to slip past her defense. One of them missed completely, but the other stabbed Naruto's shoulder. The boy let out an angry growl. Reveal yourself? He glared at where the needles came from. We didn't expect Hyuga to be here. 9A and BU jumped into the clearing and surrounded the pair. This might complicate matters. No. Lord Danzo has wished to acquire a Hyuga for a long time now. Another spoke. No one's acquiring anyone. Naruto pulled several kunai, but he suddenly felt his left arm go limp. The senbons must have had poison, he realized. That's where you're wrong. Lord Danzo wishes for you to join the route, spoke the same one as before. Look, Danzo Gigi is the one that had me exiled, so if he wants me to return he can come and speak with me. And maybe apologize too. Naruto was starting to seriously dislike Danzo. Enough. You don't have a choice. This seemed to be a signal for the group to attack. Naruto rolled out of the way and tried to form some shadow clones, but his left arm was now completely limp. He noted Hinata was engaging 4 of the ANBU, leaving 5 to him. Acting on instinct, he tossed several kunai at the enemy and leaped into the trees. Not even for a second did he consider leaving Hinata alone though. 3 shurikens sailed at one of the enemies engaged in close combat with the Hyuga, hitting him in his knee, shoulder, and back. This made enough of an opening for the girl to deliver a powerful strike to the chest. The man fell down, unmoving. Naruto threw several kunai with exploding tags attached, momentarily forcing them to drop their pursuit and take a longer way. He joined Hinata in the clearing. They still had 8 enemies to face. A white ink tiger leaped from the forest right at the duo. Naruto grabbed the tanto dropped by the fallen enemy and slashed upward, dispersing the jutsu before it could engage fully. Sigh. He would recognize that jutsu anywhere. I'm sorry, Naruto, but Hokage-sama gave me a mission. Sai stepped out of the bushes with his creepy smile on. Don't worry. You will soon be one of us. Okay. That's really unsettling. The blonde deadpanned. Hinata-chan, I still can't use my arm. Sai was now designing some very specific seal while the 8 ANBU kept the duo pinned down. They would react at even the smallest threat. Naruto-kun, what now? I have an idea, he half-whispered. But I can't use hand seals with just one hand. He frantically tried to think of something. They were surrounded and their only hope for reinforcements would be a summons. Gamakichi would probably do a short work out of the enemies. Even Shimaba-chan would clean them up like the table after dinner. Naruto recalled how Orochimaru summoned snakes when his hands were both out. He used his blood while Kabuto did the hand seals. That wasn't hard, right? Now, Naruto only had one hand malfunctioning, which was better than both. He also had Hinata for help. Hinata-chan, I need you to finish the hand seals I make. He bit his thumb. Stop them! One of the ANBU shouted. Ainatori Sara Hitsuji. Boardog Bird Monkey Ram, Naruto called each to make sure Hinata could keep up with him. Kuchios no Jutsu. Summoning Jutsu. Not even a second before Naruto slammed his open palm into the ground to finish the jutsu, multiple beasts leaped out of Sai's scroll and all descended on the duo. The smoke from the summoning meshed with a black cloud of ink that formed when the two techniques seemingly crashed. The darkness started to get more form. It seemed to turn into dark sludge and collapse onto itself. Then, with a near-silent pop, both the orb and everything that was once inside it were gone. A gigantic being clashed repeatedly with beams of energy sent by a small girl floating in the void. Around them, all colors both natural and impossible swirled and twisted, merging into utter chaos. This is my void. A monotonous voice echoed across the space. But I don't want to leave. The other sounded much more cheerful. It certainly wasn't without emotions. Besides, you cater to those white pests all the time. They are useful. Or just too bothersome for you to catch. You're much too lazy. You should exercise a little. A single patch of dirt, with 2 bodies on it, appeared in the wake of one of the clashes. Who dares to interrupt? The 2 dragons growled at the same time, only to then glare at each other in disgust. Naruto and Hinata shakily stood up. Whoa! That guy's even bigger than Bunta. And Naruto-kun. Where are we? Hinata panicked and hugged the boy tightly. You stink of Otsutsuki. The giant dragon snarled. I don't want you here. You're interrupting us. The girl added in a monotonous voice. Begone, they both said. Naruto, thinking on the spot, reached out and grabbed whatever nature chakra he could get and at the same time pulled on the Kyuubi's chakra, which the fox strangely happily surrendered. He then leaped at Hinata, covering her with his body to absorb the impact of two attacks that looked unlike any jutsu either of them has seen before. Even during the fight with pain, the attacks never reached just that scale. Maybe the Chibaku Tensei, planetary devastation, could match it, but the sheer amount of power emanating from twin beams put that one to shame. He felt the very fabric of the place they were in shift when the two forces collided with his chakra cloak. The gold flames flickered for a moment before going out. Luckily, it was enough. With a powerful quake, the reality seemed to once more collapse around the pair as they were sent catering away. This time, they reappeared in the middle of the sky, and without any platform to stand on. Oh. Both Hinata and Naruto found themselves falling down from at least several hundred meters. Bad news, they were falling. The good news, Naruto's left hand was finally working again. Here's praying it actually works, he called before biting on his thumb and going through the required hand seals. Kuchios no Jutsu. Summoning Jutsu. He pushed every ounce of chakra he could currently muster into that jutsu. Gamabunta better comes here or they will be a puddle really soon. There was a cloud of smoke and a toad of above-average proportions appeared under them, still in the air. His tongue shot out and wrapped around Hinata, then caught Naruto on the way back. The large beast crashed into the ground, creating not-so-small crater. It gently placed both teens on the ground. Just what did you get into this time, Naruto? Gamakichi asked, before feeling the summoning time running short. What? Bunta Naruto whispered before losing consciousness. Hinata wasn't faring much better. Thank you, she managed to say before she also fainted. The toad dispersed before he could actually as much as get his bearings. Naruto slowly woke up. His head was ringing almost as if someone used it as an alarm bell during a fire. He didn't open his eyes immediately, instead trying to sense his surroundings. Without senjutsu, it wasn't easy, but he retained a portion of that skill even without nature energy. Immediately he zeroed on Hinata, who was only a few meters from him, probably on the bed nearby. They were in a small room, barely able to fit the two beds they were on and a wardrobe, and still have space to move around. He tried to reach further away, to get some bearings. He could sense several very weak chakra signatures moving around. Civilians. But that was barely enough chakra for even civilians. At least those who live anywhere close to shinobi villages. They must have landed in some remote place. It didn't really appear to him that since they had so little chakra, he shouldn't have been able to sense them without sage mode. A person with a slightly larger chakra pool approached their room. Naruto immediately relaxed his body, pretending to still remain unconscious. He wanted to reach for a kunai but found only emptiness where his tool pouch always was. Belatedly, he realized that they must have undressed him. A girl entered. She said something in a language Naruto didn't recognize. She moved to Hinata first. He suddenly felt a spike of something in the air. It wasn't chakra, but it also felt similar to medical ninjutsu. Still, he didn't wish to risk it. Memories of Kabuto using chakra scalpels as a potent weapon came to mind. The teen leaped from his bed, tossing the blanket he was covered with at the newcomer. It also worked as a signal for Hinata, who similarly jumped up. Seemed she had been awake this whole time as well. They both landed on the ceiling, preparing for combat. It seems we've landed in some faraway village, Hinata-chan. Naruto presented his thesis. He wanted to take a quick glance at his fellow shinobi but froze. Hinata was naked. A small trickle of blood left his nose. He then also realized he was similarly without any clothes and quickly tried to cover his private parts. An eep from Hinata told him she came to a similar realization. Both of them then crashed from the ceiling when their control went haywire. Of course, life wanted to embarrass them further, and Hinata landed right on Naruto's back. So soft, the half-conscious teen mumbled, feeling the girl's shift on his back. Naruto-kun is naked. Hinata wasn't faring much better. More people came, attracted by the turmoil. The two shinobi got back on their feet and tried to cover themselves. Hinata went as far as ripping the sheet from her bed and using it as a robe. Naruto just put a hand over his tool. Both remained tense and ready to fight or run. What village is this? What land are we in? Naruto asked the apparent leader of the group. Most of the men that arrived started to scratch their heads, but one young boy started to speak in that strange language again. Naruto got a chance to take a look at them. They all appeared to be some sort of monk. He noted they all wore pendants in the shape of a cross. Probably the symbol of their religion. You are in Atra, Italy. The boy answered. We found you in the forest not far from here. Your clothes were damaged and you were both suffering from severe wounds. The great holy maiden Asia healed you. The pile of blankets that sort of laid forgotten started to shift until a girl appeared. She said something in the same foreign language. She is shy, but asks that you join her in prayers in the evening. Prayers? Naruto babbled before he caught himself. Maybe insulting locals isn't the best idea in their current situation? Ah. Forgive us. We sort of assumed it was by the grace of God that you were healed. Surely would want to give him thanks. Please forgive Naruto-kun. We are simply still somewhat confused. Hinata came to the rescue. Yeah. How far away from Konoha are we? The boy turned to the group of monks and they all shrugged or shook their heads. We're sorry, but we haven't heard of this Konoha you speak of. Kanahigaku no Sado? The Leaf Village? Maybe Hai no Kuni? Kaze no Kuni? Once more, the monks had no clue. And Naruto-kun and I think we're very far from home. No kidding. If I may, perhaps we could continue this discussion once you dress? The boy chuckled. This reminded both shinobi that they were technically naked. Out! Hinata screamed, causing the men in Asia to scuttle outside and close the doors. Naruto also started to move toward the doors, but she grabbed his wrist. You're getting dressed. She practically screamed in his face before pushing him into the wardrobe that took most of the space that wasn't being reserved for the beds. Only then did she realize that her clothes were also in the wardrobe. She opened it, planning on grabbing them quickly. She certainly didn't plan on seeing Naruto in the middle of putting his pants on. A trickle of blood left her nose. She squeaked and closed the doors, turning away so fast she probably broke the sound barrier. It seemed that life really wanted to torture them today. A hand came out of the doors and handed her her clean set of bra and panties. I guess that's what you needed? An embarrassed voice spoke from the wardrobe. And Naruto-kun Hinata mumbled and quickly started to get dressed. Her knight in shining armor. The two shinobi got dressed in what clothes they had. The monks gave them fresh underwear and some overclothes. Luckily, the mesh armors survived wholly unscathed, so the two ninjas still could count on some protection. Their hataite were damaged, but the metal plates themselves stayed intact. Not that they would be much good when by now they were known nuknins. Naruto due to exile and Hinata due to desertion. After they got their clothes on, the two sat on their beds to discuss the situation. They were obviously far away from home. Hinata theorized they somehow ended beyond the known continent. During their careers, they did meet people from beyond the known continent. Maybe now, they were such people. Temujin barely had any chakra at all, which added to the theory. Now, the only problem was how to get back to the shinobi continent. They needed a plan. And probably money. Father Domenico wishes to invite you for a supper at the refectory, the boy said through the doors. Naruto and Hinata got from their beds and prepared to leave the room. They got outside and the boy started to lead them through the corridors of the monastery. Before they've arrived at the refectory, the boy suddenly stopped and pulled them back into the nearest niche. Two girls were talking with who appeared to be the head monk. As such, the Holy Father requested us to bring them in. By force if necessary. The girl with blue hair declared. Not that Naruto or Hinata understood. Hinata activated her Byakugan and noticed that there were at least 10 armored warriors in black cloaks waiting just outside. They were all armed with swords and some carried shields. There was also one more man, wearing a white cloak and hood that covered his face. A total of 13 potential hostiles. 2 women and 11 men. The women have strange signatures to them. Very little chakra though. The man in white cloak has a strong aura of power and absolutely no chakra. Hinata stressed the last part. It was impossible to have no chakra. Even civilians had at least a sliver. Chakra is a combination of physical and mental energies. Everyone who has a body and a spirit can produce some chakra. Gotcha. Naruto reached for his kunai, but then remembered that all their weapons were confiscated. Before, he just thought they were in a different room. Now, though, he suspected there was something more to it. Hinata. Locate my scroll. We can't leave without it. The girl nodded and started searching. It took her a moment before she spotted it. Follow me, she ordered and prepared to move out. Wait. What are you? Those are holy inquisitors. The best you can do is just follow orders. The boy's protests fell on a deaf ear as the two shinobi were already on the move. And in this place, no one was trained enough to actually spot them leap through corridors. Back in the shinobi continent, there were ninjas everywhere who learned how to combat stealth. Thus, with time, many shinobi moved on to more flashy jutsu. Despite that, the basics of stealth were still taught at every academy. Inside a room, the scroll, their ninja tools, and some of their old clothes were all laid out. It seemed that someone tried to break the sealing tag on the scroll, but failed. As signified by the stings on the ground. Naruto mostly used the sealing tag as an early alert system to make sure no one pulled a fast one on him, but now he guessed they might be a bit strong for a simple civilian. Oh well, they deserve it for messing with his junk. He grabbed the scroll and it to his back with a small stream of chakra. Shouts in that foreign language intensified. It seemed their disappearance has been noted. The clanking of metal got close. That boy must have revealed what Naruto and Hinata were discussing. Well, they couldn't exactly fault him. He had no obligations to them. Step out and surrender. A male voice spoke outside the doors. Or we shall be forced to subdue you with force. Hinata looked at Naruto, who nodded toward the window. The doors were soon torn open with a large sword, but the two ninjas were nowhere to be found. Their gear was, likewise, gone. The only clue was the open window. From the treeline, two figures looked at the monastery. Get back here, heathens! The blue-haired girl called out. The knights ran back down to chase after them, but the two girls and the man in white cloak seemed unfazed. They all leaped out of the window, dropping their white cloaks. Naruto gulped. The bodysuits they wore left nothing to the imagination. Fate really had it out for him that day, didn't it? It seemed that the girls were likely this place's equivalent of shinobi because their speed was close to that of low chunin. Still, despite his rank as genin, Naruto's skills were closer to low jonin, and Hinata was similarly no slouch. It seemed that they would easily outrun the pursuit. A sound of flapping wings echoed over the forest, shortly followed by strange sounds spreading through the trees. The knights were now chasing them through the forest in what appeared to be some sort of mechanical contraptions on wheels. They were inhumanely fast. Naruto and Hinata had to speed up, pushing to their limits to remain ahead. Looks like we need to up our game. Tajukage Bunshin no Jutsu. Multi-Shadow Clone Jutsu. Dozens upon dozens of Narutos formed everywhere on trees. They spread into all possible directions, some even engaging in their pursuit. Several hinged into Hinata and formed pairs. The forest was consumed in chaos. Enough! The man who now dropped the cloak too clearly got irritated with their lack of progress. Naruto sensed some sort of aura concentrate around his outstretched arms. Suddenly released a powerful wave of destruction that leveled acres of the forest. It left him panting in exhaustion, but it removed any cover Naruto and Hinata could have used and knocked them from the treetops. The mounted knights entered the field and the girls closed in on them. They surrounded the shinobi and prepared for battle. We would much appreciate it if you went with us, one of the girls requested. She had twin pigtails and honey brown hair. We just want to leave in peace, Hinata pleaded. Naruto created 3 more clones and had all of them sit perfectly still in a meditative position. We have our orders. The brunette grumbled and all of them moved as one forward, closing the circle. The Archangel Michael himself asked the Holy Father to bring you to the Vatican. We need to ascertain just who are you and what threat you pose. The man that destroyed the forest pleaded again. He stood in the back, spreading his 3 sets of wings wide open. Wings? And people said shinobi were weird with their body modifications. Hinata-chan. Take care of the warriors. I'll go after the leaders. Naruto ordered and called several more shadow clones, who charged at the enemies with Razengans forming. They cleared a path that he followed, his own Rasengan coming to life, then getting bigger and bigger. Odama Rasengan, Big Ball Rasengan. The orb of condensed chakra crashed with the blade the blue-haired girl held, sending her flying away. He then caught the swing of the other girl's sword between his palms and twisted it. That forced the girl to step to the side or lose her sword. She did the former, clearing Naruto's path toward his main goal. One of his clones popped, sending the gathered nature energy into him. Orange pigment appeared around his eyes and his pupils took an unnatural shape. The winged man made no move to avoid Naruto's attack until the last second when he tried to dodge and strike back. Naruto was simply too fast for him. The shinobi had no problem avoiding the counter and delivered a grazing hit, startling the enemy. Naruto used the confusion of his enemy to kick him up in the air, only to chase after him and execute a bastardized version of Uzumaki combo which was already a bastardized version of Lion combo which in turn was an imperfectly copied from Lotus. His attempt mostly succeeded sans the last step, as the angel was able to orient himself in the air and not crash in the ground. Thus, the fight moved into the air. Naruto spared a quick glance to see Hinata defeat the last of the knights and face the 2 girls on her own. She was using her Juho Sashiken, gentle step twin lion fists, to keep them on the defensive. His opponent noted the momentary distraction and tried to throw a spear made of pure light at Naruto, who at the last second redirected it back at the angel. He then landed on the ground, only to lunge up once more. The second clone dissipated, revitalizing his Sage mode. Two warriors started exchanging blows at incredible speed. Whenever their attacks collided, bursts of air pressure were sent. The angel kept trying to disengage and get some distance, but Naruto kept him contained. A pained cry escaped Hinata. Immediately, Naruto jumped back and turned to see what was going on. It seemed that one of the girls managed to surprise her. Pigtails was now holding a whip, not a sword. Hinata was meanwhile sporting a deep gash on her left shoulder. "We're wasting time," Naruto growled. A Rasengan formed in his open palm. The wind started to pick up around his arm as 4 spinning blades appeared around it. Futon, Raisin Shuriken, Wind Release, Raisin Shuriken. He sent the attack at the angel, who in vain attempted to dodge the surprise attack. He collided with the attack, causing the orb to break. Millions of miniature blades of wind were released, vaporizing almost everything they came in contact with. The angel could feel every part of his body being assaulted simultaneously. Naruto didn't care. He could see that Pigtails caught Hinata's ankle, making the girl fall. The blue-haired girl was 2 steps away from skewering the Hyuga Kunoichi. The sword was already coming down and would most likely pierce her heart directly. He charged forward. He just needed one good punch to take the murderous girl out. He cursed his lack of single-target ranged attacks. Raisin Shuriken was bound to also hurt Hinata. He was almost there. His fist connected with the exorcist's face, sending her staggering. The force was enough to probably break several bones in her body, including the skull, the jaw, and whatever other bones the head contained. Blood burst from Hinata's chest as the sword pierced her ribcage regardless. It was only thrust stronger by the punch Naruto delivered. It didn't pierce the heart directly, but there was still so much blood. Naruto looked at the kunoichi in shock. The only remaining exorcists seemed stunned but retained enough clarity of mind to know that this wasn't good. They started to run. The dark, oppressive aura permeated the battlefield, giving them even more motivation to run. They grabbed one of the motorbikes and left into the forest. Slivers of corrupted chakra seeped into the ground, turning the forest soil dark and cracked. Red chakra started to slowly cover Naruto's body, but he tried to rear it back. He needed to focus. He needed to somehow help Hinata first. A green magical circle appeared nearby, through which stepped a man. He wore a green robe and green cloak, but no shirt. His hair was, you guessed it, green. "Who are you and can you help her?" Naruto asked. He honestly didn't care if the man was Jashin himself. Hinata was hurt because she followed him here. He should have done something. He should have stopped it. Maybe if he didn't punch the blue-haired girl, Hinata would have been fine. "Slow down, please." Ajuka looked at the mess in front of him. There were at least a dozen of dead paladins and at least one annihilated angel. Those 2 humans did it on their own. He came to check those worrying readings on demonic energy pulsating somewhere in northern Italy. Much too close to the Vatican for his comfort. He certainly didn't expect to find a battlefield and 2 teens. "She's dying," the boy growled. The devil saw his eyes turn to slits on a blood-red background. The whisker marks thickened and claws sharpened. Ajuka quickly cast a diagnostic spell on the girl, but she was already dead. He also took the chance to see her value as an evil piece. Those 2 piqued his interest. Value 9 pawns. That was impossible. Trained humans were usually around 2 pawns. Exorcists went up to 5. Queens would almost require a sacred gear to be of any use, and yet that girl didn't have any. On intuition, he turned to the boy and ran a similar diagnosis. Value 30 pawns. Ajuka double-checked if he read correctly. 13 would have been pushing it. 30 it just wasn't. They were both humans, but his system was going haywire with the amount of potential they held. "Can you heal her or not?" Naruto yelled, bringing the scientist back to reality. "Perhaps." "I can't." It seemed that this was the wrong thing to say, because the boy tensed, preparing to attack. "But I can give you that power." This was a gamble. This was the biggest freaking gamble he would be taking in his whole life. But if he played it right, this might as well be a breakthrough he was waiting for. "Speak." The blonde boy was still wary of the stranger offering power like candy, but he was willing to make a deal with the devil. If only he knew how much truth those words held. Ajuka summoned one of his projects. "This is the king piece of an experimental evil pieces set I've been working on. I can use it to reincarnate you into a devil, and you, in turn, will be able to reincarnate her into one," he offered. What's the catch? Naruto definitely wasn't stupid enough to just take that deal at face value. It's too good. Why are you helping me? Outside the fact that I'm curious? It's experimental. I've been hoping to test it for a long time, but I can't do it without test subjects. And devils aren't exactly standing in lines to become lab rats. If I do it, she'll be fine. And I'll become your lab rat? Naruto asked, trying to get his head around it. Don't worry. I won't keep you in my lab at all times. It would require more effort than it would bring benefits. I would check on you every other week and do some tests. It still seemed too good, but Naruto didn't care. He owed to Hinata to do everything to heal her. He failed her, and he would fix it. No matter the cost. No one else would die because of him. I accept. Ajuka. You know I think of you as one of my closest friends. Therefore surely you will comprehend what I mean when I say this. Just what the F. Surzek stopped himself when Rias sent him a murderous glare. What the freaking hell were you thinking? They were standing in the back room of a meeting room, where representatives of several concerned factions assembled to question de facto the sanity of Satan Beelzebub. His decision of resurrecting Uzumaki Naruto as a devil was controversial at best. It was compounded by the fact that he wasn't even ashamed. Quite the opposite. When questioned about the strange anomaly in Italy, he was all too happy to tell everyone how he found a powerful human and turned him into a devil king. Some thought he either lost his mind or finally found a sense of humor. I already told you that it's all part of the plan. Ajuka calmly tried to placate his friend. I took a calculated risk. What sorts of calculations would justify that decision? And then all but parading the boy around the young devil's ball. 30 pawns. Ajuka simply said, stunning both Grafia and Surzek. The boy had the potential of 30 pawns, without any sacred gear or supernatural heritage. Then how? The Queen of Lucifer's peerage spoke up. I learned after the fact that both he and the girl he begged me to rescue are from beyond the dimensional gap. That's impossible, the maid protested. Not really. Ajuka shrugged. Their story checks out. And there is at least one species that regularly uses dimensional gap to travel between worlds. It still doesn't justify you just up and giving him a peerage right after he became a devil. Forgive the intrusion, your highnesses. A servant knocked at the doors. But everyone awaits. I really hope you can explain that mess. Surzek shook his head and led the trio to the main room. Mao Beelzebub. We've been waiting. Lord Baal greeted Ajuka with false politeness. Yes. Forgive us for the delay. I simply had to clarify some matters beforehand. Now then, I think we can get straight to the point of this meeting. Lord Agars glared at the Mao. Of course. My time away from my research is not spent productively. Good. Then you might wish to explain why have you chosen to grant a newly reincarnated human a peerage straight away. In effect, you've made him a high-class devil from the beginning. I will interrupt you there, Ajuka spoke up. Uzumaki Naruto was already more powerful than an average high-class devil by the time I found him. Not only is he a human Sannin, but he also knows several incredibly destructive techniques. As proven by him annihilating a four-winged angel in single combat. What do you mean by annihilated? One of the lords asked. There is no other word for that. The angel was torn to shreds on the cellular level by his attack. He might be powerful, and I can see the merit of adding him to a peerage. Even his friend would probably make a fine addition to some peerage. His friend had the value of 11 pawns. There were no peerages with such space free. He waited for the revelation to settle. Uzumaki Naruto had a value of 30 pawns. This caused an uproar. 30 pawns were almost unheard of. A human? Granted, a sage, but still. It was imperative for him to join the devil faction. The Mao relaxed in his seat. We are not questioning you reincarnating him. Lord Baal put his foot down. We're inquiring as to why has he received a peerage from the beginning. The pieces he received are a prototype of my newest creation. A small smile crept on Ajuka's face. This is the moment he's been waiting for. There were no pieces that could have reincarnated him. The system was not made to deal with this kind of power. And it's not the first such instance. I received several complaints that the growth mechanics are not working as well as many would wish. With the current system, the growth freezes at one less pawn needed. The evil pieces are simply unable to reflect the growth of King's power. Therefore, I've been working on developing a more adaptable system by scrapping the first idea for King piece. Instead, new King pieces would measure the devil's power in real time and use it to boost the reincarnation feature. The downsides, for now, are that the King is often exhausted after one such reincarnation if it uses a piece's maximum potential. He cleared his throat and continued. Uzumaki Naruto is my test subject. In exchange for receiving the king piece and the evil pieces set, he agreed to become my test subject. He is uniquely suited for the task. Then keep him in the lab and dispose of him afterward, simple as that. Lord Gamagen snorted. We don't need some upstart polluting our blood. He needs to be controlled. Right now he's practically a stray with a peerage. That is why Ajuka and I came with a solution that should satisfy all parties. Uzumaki Naruto will attend Ko-Academy with Arisa's Gremory and Citri, where we will be able to keep an eye on him while he learns the meaning of being a devil. I believe I speak for everyone when I say this situation could have been handled better. Lord Phoenix scoffed. Obviously. Ajuka mocked. I'm curious, where would I be able to find volunteers to test the system? Maybe a phoenix would agree to have it used on them and potentially spend an eternity in a coma, dying over and over. Or maybe there would be another devil in your families wishing to risk their lives to test an imperfect system. I can tell you already that if I did not use it on Uzumaki first, a major flaw would have killed whoever used it. It was because of his impossible stamina that he survived attempting to resurrect someone. The system tried to take all power from him. Several older lords cringed. This is precisely why the initial design of King Peace was boosting the power of the user, so they could sustain this kind of drain. I believe this is a well enough justification. Lord Glaciolabalas nodded. The benefits will far outweigh the cost of having this Uzumaki become a devil. Some of the lords looked unsatisfied, but they couldn't argue that they had no alternative solution at the moment, and Uzumaki was apparently already powerful enough to defend his status as a king of a peerage. Naruto vaulted over the janitor's cart, not even slowing down. He was currently running damn close to the Olympic speed and then some. He ducked into the staircase and slid down on the handrail. Issei watched as girls fawned over the impromptu show of athleticism. Then, he spotted Sauna Torai and 3 other girls from the student council running into the corridor. Spread out. Bring Uzumaki to me. What was strange to many students was that all of them spotted neon yellow hair, whereas most could have sworn they all had dark hair just 2 hours ago. Naruto meanwhile was already out of the main school building. He leaped into the nearest bushes. He quickly took a meditative position and went completely still. One of the lesser-known benefits of being a sage was that when he was becoming part of nature, most people tended not to notice him. He wasn't invisible, but it took an actual effort to separate him from the background, as long as he was actually in a place where nature was. Trying it in the middle of the school corridor had an opposite effect, as he painfully learned some time ago. Naruto-kun. Hinata leaned over his shoulder and whispered. Did you send a clone to Sona's lessons again? Yes? He gulped. He was done for. And did that clone perhaps fall asleep? Yes? So why is the hair of every single member of the Students' Council neon yellow? It really was neon. It would glow in the dark. I might have used the Bunshin Daibakuha clone Great Explosion, Naruto confessed. And knowing you, you've modified it to explode with a hair dye. What am I gonna do with you? She sighed. Let me go and save my life? Naruto begged. Here he is. One of Sona's servants must have noticed him when he was distracted. He leaped onto the trees and then parkoured onto the school rooftop, earning applause from the watching students. He didn't pause and instead ran onto the other side and vaulted over the edge. He aimed to use a little bit of chakra to soften the landing, but it turned out to be unneeded as 3 perverts volunteered to be his pillow. Thanks for the save, Naruto mocked as he started running again. He needed to reach the school gates and he would be home free. Just a few more meters. He was almost there. And he failed when Sona stepped into his way with an outstretched hand. While he doubted she would actually use magic to catch him, he similarly didn't want to test it out or attack her in any form. Uzumaki-san. You will accompany me to the principal now. Fine, at least you've shaken the powder off during the chase. He chuckled while subtly releasing a pulse of chakra that dispelled the yellow dye. The 3 perverts watched Naruto being led away. Ever since he joined the academy some 6 weeks prior, those chaotic events increased in frequency by at least a factor of 10. Uzumaki Naruto and the rules seemed to be at constant war. And right now, Uzumaki was winning. Issei sighed. The dark fox strikes again. He massaged his back, still aching after the beating he and his friends received from the kendo club. You've got to admit though, the guy has style. Matsuda nodded sagely. If only he used it for something nobler than pranking. Motohama cried. Like in pursuit of a pay. Dude. If he wanted, he would probably get any breasts he wanted. The girls call him Yami no Kitsune, true. But remember his other name. The Dark Prince of Ko. The trio spoke in harmony before taking a deep sigh. Man, with him and Kiba, we have no chance of ever getting any. Hey, I heard Hyuga Hinata often trains after the school's out. Wanna go try to get a look? That might not be a good idea. Issei shivered. Remember the last time? All three boys felt a chill go down their spines. Looks like someone's in for a remedial class or two. A dark voice spoke above them. Suddenly a menacing shadow was cast over the trio. Naruto cracked his knuckles. Hey! You were dragged to the principal's office. You can't just appear out of nowhere. That's like super unfair. Heh. Maybe. But my pervert sense was tingling, so I went to check out if you aren't messing with someone you shouldn't. Naruto shrugged. I'm giving you 10. 10 what? Issei asked, missing how his two friends already started to run for the hills. 8. Oh, 10 seconds. Wah! The pervert finally figured out the only sane response and started running as well. Gets them every time. He waited 3 more seconds before summoning a shadow clone that he sent chasing after Issei since he was the closest. The other two would probably find unpleasant and humiliating surprises in their lockers on Monday. Naruto left the school grounds and walked away whistling. It has been 2 months since Naruto and Hinata arrived on Earth. After their initial encounter with the supernatural, the shinobi joined the Devil's faction. Somewhat by force, but neither regretted it. Especially since the alternative was Hinata's death. Thus, Naruto became a king, and Hinata his queen. The girl at least was blushing and crying interchangeably when she learned what Naruto did for her, up until Ajuka took her to the side and explained in more detail the basics of devilhood. Naruto had no idea what, but she returned blushing. After that, she was pensive for a few days before gaining a small boost of confidence. Speaking of the Satan and Naruto's de facto patron, the man-devil, he was most accommodating. It seemed he wanted to make sure his experiment brought desired results. Though he forced Naruto to go to school. And he made him learn all those devil customs and traditions and laws. Sona Citri was all too happy to volunteer to be his tutor. Since then, he learned the basics any devil needed to know, according to Sona at least. Ajuka was now somewhat pushing him to gather his peerage and start training for the raiding games, hinting that he might engage in some soon. The only problem was that Naruto didn't want just anybody. Ideally, he wanted maybe someone from Konoha 11. Except that would be impossible seeing as they were in an entirely different dimension beyond reach. Naruto could technically summon toads from Mount Maiboku, but they couldn't summon him back. Oh. And Tsunade was back as the Hokage. The attack on Danzo during the 5 Kage summit ended with him and 2 Anbu being murdered by Sasuke, who attacked the world leaders. The shinobi world was now in a sort of standstill. Naruto being gone caused Akatsuki to dial back on their activity. They couldn't operate openly when they had no idea where he was since the exile. The villages formed an alliance, but they had no traces of the enemy. Thus there was a sense of relative peace for now, but everyone was tense. Tsunade tried to rescind Naruto's exile, but the daimyo remained stubborn. The best she could manage was to partially pardon Hinata's desertion. Her punishment was, similarly, exile. Thus she and Naruto were on the same boat. He was brought out from his thoughts when he sensed someone watching him. He closed his eyes and tried to zero on whoever that was, but it was gone already. A frown marred his face. Something was coming. He ducked into the nearest alley and made sure to take a long way home, sending a clone in the wrong direction a time or two. The house he and Hinata lived in was really a small compound. There were a total of 5 buildings, with a separate bathhouse, a dojo, guest house, the main manor, and a servant's quarters for when Naruto's peerage grows. Part of it was sponsored by Ajuka himself, while Naruto supplied the rest so well he did. And the method of earning money will remain a secret for as long as he can keep it so. He relaxed after he passed the outer walls of the compound. He entered the kitchen in the main building when his clone dispelled itself. The memories it brought were frankly improbable at best. You won't believe what I've seen, Hinata-chan, he called, attracting the attention of his queen, who was currently preparing dinner. Oh? Issei got a girlfriend. Hinata dropped the pot she was holding. No, she started blushing furiously. Hinata-chan? Naruto looked at her with a worried gaze. A phone started ringing. Oh no, she already knows. The girl was panicking. She reached for the phone that was until now left on the counter. Her face was now red in embarrassment, which Naruto had no idea where it could be coming from. As soon as Hinata pressed accept, there was a foreboding cackling to be heard. And what was worse, she accidentally put it on speaker. Foo. Hinata-chan. I have news. Akino's teasing voice sounded from the device. You won't believe the newest gossip going around the students. Issei's got a girlfriend, Naruto supplied. My clone actually saw her asking him out. You could almost hear the teasing smirk that appeared on Akino's face. So it's confirmed. Now that's really interesting. Hinata blushed heavier on the sound of that, or rather what it implied. You know what that means, Hinata. Rias, Queen, sang through the phone. But. You wouldn't go back on your word, would you? Hinata squeaked, sparing a glance at Naruto, who seemed almost dazed with confusion. And no. Then I expect some juicy news tomorrow. The usually stoic girl was cackling while she hung up. That was unusual, Naruto commented after a moment of silence, for Hinata's dignity and confidence probably. What was she talking about? Hinata was frantically trying to control her blush. She stammered a few words that made absolutely no sense before fainting. Like usual. Naruto just sighed and picked her up bridal style. He gently carried her to her room, but she just latched onto him and refused to let go. The blush didn't disappear and the boy considered checking her temperature. Ultimately, though, he decided to wait until morning. The only problem was that now he had to somehow ply her away. Not an easy task. Hinata was deceptively strong even before she became the queen. Now, she could maybe even lift Kichi. Or at least she might have before the toad hit a growth sprout and suddenly was the size of his dad. He tried Kawarimi, substitution, but she was so close to him that she just followed him through. Then, he summoned some clones, but all they managed to do was to confirm that she was now asleep when she started murmuring about whiskers. I'll buy you a body pillow next time I see one. Naruto groaned, resigning himself to his fate. Then, he got another brilliant idea. He summoned a clone and ordered him to use magic to change them into pajamas. A very important lesson for the future: never order a tired clone to invent a magical spell on the spot. The effects might vary. In this particular case, the clone fired a beam at the duo that ricocheted from them and hit the bookshelf above the bed where Hinata kept her books. One in an orange cover fell, hitting Naruto in the head and knocking him out. He didn't remember that the beam also destroyed their clothes. It was pure chance that Naruto woke up first. It seemed that at some point during the night, Hinata loosened her hold. Thus, he was able to use his secret ninja skills to escape. Yes, they were needed. He technically understood that devils were often somewhat more in tune with their desires. He got the message. He would buy Hinata a body pillow first thing on Monday. As soon as he was free, he darted from her room. He just realized that a very important piece of clothing was missing and he needed to go grab it ASAP. Some fuzzy memory from his clone told him that he might need to work on a better spell. He busied himself with preparing breakfast for himself and Hinata when the girl finally entered the kitchen. Hi, Hinata-chan. How did you sleep? The kunoichi watched her, king, prepare breakfast, but her thoughts were occupied by another matter. She technically lost a bet. Or the ultimatum. Whatever. The point was that Akino was now free to approach Naruto unless she made her move. You see, it all started about a month ago. When Naruto was first introduced to the two peerages that made Ko their territory, she, as his queen and only piece, was scooped up by the two other queens and dragged for some girls' night. At some point, Akino probably figured that Hinata had a crush on her, king, or just got the same impression about Naruto as Hinata had. She expressed her intention to ask him out. Obviously, Hyuga protested. Loudly. And so Akino and Tsubaki learned for certain about her crush. She managed to extract a promise that they wouldn't try to make a move on him until she gathered courage. Tsubaki had no plans on making such a move ever, but Akino decided to tease Hinata some more. In the end, though, she also agreed to not try and ask Naruto out, but she gave the blonde's queen a time limit. She had to ask her king out before Issei got a girlfriend. It seemed reasonable enough, so Hinata foolishly agreed. It felt like enough time. It definitely wasn't enough time. Hinata-chan? You okay? Naruto was worried. Was she going down with something? As a devil, she should be mostly immune to human diseases, right? I'm fine. She mumbled. Okay. Here you go. He placed a plate of food in front of her and took a seat. Now Naruto-kun. She tried to gather all the courage she had. She's been living with Naruto under one roof for way over a month. She would be damned if she let it all go to waste. Nara Naruto-kun, would you do you will? Huh? Naruto was confused. That much should have been obvious. Will you go out with me? She screamed loud enough to cause the plates to rattle. I what? Stopped working. Was Hinata asking him out? But what? Really? I really admire you and I hoped you would go out with me. She lowered her gaze while blushing heavily. Really? I am heard that some queens marry their kings, but I assure you that's not an obligation. You don't have. No, Hinata protested. I wanted to be with you even before you made me your queen. Ever since the academy. You've always inspired me. You're so kind and never let anything bring you down or stop you. She did her best to overcome her shyness. She was already too far in to back down. Then, there was the Chunin exam and I saw you defend my honor. I imagined you as my personal knight in shining armor. You gave me the motivation to fight on. You gave me my own nindo. My ninja way. Hinata Naruto was floored. This was just so sudden. How did he miss all the signs before? Then you were hurt chasing after Sasuke. And shortly after, you left for your training. But I didn't let that hold me back. I trained and fought. To be strong. Like you? After your return, things went so chaotic so quickly then, there was Pain's invasion. The memory that was stuck at the very back of Naruto's mind resurfaced. Before, whenever he tried to recall it, those images and sounds would evade him. He believed that he never registered them. Now he remembered it with perfect clarity. Oh, you already told me all of this, didn't you? The girl nodded, fearing to actually say anything. Now that she finally started speaking, it was all coming out without much of her conscious input. She had imagined her confession 1,000,000 times over, but never thought it would be during breakfast. Which was now cooled down by the way. I'm sorry. If I knew then what? Naruto honestly didn't know. Back then, he was still in love with Sakura. 6 weeks ago, he would have probably still said he was. But if there was one thing he learned in the hell that was high school, not actual hell, which was a kinder place. Go figure, it was the difference between love and crush. He had a crush on Sakura. Sakura had a crush on Sasuke. Hinata he didn't know. He had no idea how to read his queen. No, I think it's for the best you actually didn't remember. These last 2 months I got to know the real you. Not just the image I had. Like how you tend to be overly loud and childish at times. Or how terrible of a cook you are. She pushed the plate that held her breakfast away. And yet I still can't help but love you. She stuttered, but only a bit. Well, Naruto got the answer he was looking for. I think I can give dating a shot. He scratched the back of his head. Not that I have any real experience with the thing. Erosenin wasn't the best source of information unless it was related to his books. Naruto certainly wasn't planning to have a romance just like in those books. Well, not entirely. Great. Hinata squeaked, her voice higher than normal. Great. She repeated one more time. Now I think I'm gonna faint. And so she did. Getting Hinata back up was an experience. Then, the two talked a bit more, hugged, and decided to go on a date on Sunday. They would have a whole day. Of course, Naruto decided that he would plan everything. Not a great idea when one's idea of a date was a visit to a ramen stand. Then again, Hinata didn't complain. She laughed, ate 2 bowls, to Naruto's 20, and offered that she would choose the next attraction. Thus, the two went to the cinema to watch a movie. Somewhat stereotypically, Naruto expected to be watching a rom-com. Then again, he wasn't all that surprised when she picked a heartwarming animation about finding a family. There exists no evidence that either of them cried during the movie. If one were to possess such falsified evidence, they would be better off not possessing it. Are we clear? Good. With the movie over, it was still early enough. Naruto decided to take Hinata to a mall. It was where normal teenagers went for a date, right? He took her to a sports store, where they both checked some training gear. They were in agreement that it was severely lacking though. Maybe a juka would get them something better? Not to be discouraged, they went to some more stores. Hinata wanted to check a bookstore, which Naruto made sure to keep her away from. For reasons he said, refusing to elaborate. Instead, he took her to a jeweler and got her a golden necklace. He could easily afford it, he assured her. They ended up in a clothing store as well. This time, it was Hinata's choice. She wanted to get something nice for the next date. Naruto found himself all for the concept. Alas, he was less than helpful when it came to actually giving an honest opinion on clothes themselves. He found himself liking the way Hinata looked in all of them. Though perhaps it wasn't the clothes doing. Shopping done, Naruto sent 2 Kaiga Bunshin with the bags while he and Hinata went to enjoy some ice cream. Throughout the day, they talked a lot. About their past, their lives, their dreams and hopes. Naruto still wanted to be a Hokage, but it was now that much harder. He could talk for hours about his experiments with fuinjutsu to try and find a way home. both Tsunade and he believed that it was their best chance at returning to Konoha and Shinobi nations as a whole. Hinata happily listened, even though she didn't understand much. In turn, she told him about her dream to one day do away with the caged bird seal that caused so much pain to her family and clan. They talked about school, with Hinata laughing when hearing about the exploits he pulled from his perspective. There was the talk about the academy back home and how much they've changed since then. Both spotted longer hair than back then, that's for sure. Naruto started to grow his out when he started to figure out some of Jiraiya's jutsu. Quite a lot of them had to do with using hair as the medium, be it as Saban or as a shield. For now, it reached barely to his shoulder, making him resemble his father, the fourth Hokage. They didn't even note when they went through ice cream and left the cafe. They simply wandered for some time until finding their way into the park. At some point between there and their sweets break, Naruto grabbed Hinata's hand and intertwined their fingers. She blushed only a moderate amount and found herself relaxing. She laid her head on his shoulder as they wandered through the park. It was an amazing day, Naruto-kun. I agree, Hina-chan. He gave her a bright smile that made her heart flutter a bit. No amount of preparation would be able to make her resistant to his charm. She maneuvered herself in front of him and grabbed both of his hands between hers. She smiled shyly and looked into his eyes. I like it when you say that. What? Hina-chan? She nodded, blushing lightly. You've got it. He wanted to give her thumbs up, but she held his hands in place. Instead, she leaned forward slightly. Naruto was not an idiot. He was maybe a bit of a moron, but not an idiot. There is a distinction. He got the message. He similarly started to lean in slightly. Just as their lips were about to meet, a pained shout echoed across the park. Immediately, the two jumped apart and reached for their weapons. No shinobi ever left home without at least a kunai or two. Nodding, they moved toward the source, taking care to remain out of sight. On the small square that they'd passed a few minutes before, Hayado Issei seemed to be fighting for his dear life. A fallen angel was chucking spear after spear at him, which the pervert mostly dodged. Some did graze him, but nothing life-ending yet. Looks like my training actually brought some fruit. Hinata knew perfectly well that Naruto's training was just a way to make the three perverts know that he wouldn't tolerate it if they ever tried to pull anything with his friends. We've got to help him, the queen whispered. Yes. Two clones appeared and immediately started to gather nature energy. Meanwhile, the shinobi took aim. Rainier was getting tired of the dodging game. That pitiful pervert was actually able to evade her attacks. It's not like she was actually trying, finding his initial attempts amusing. She aimed another spear, this time making certain that he wouldn't dodge. The spell of condensed light flew true, about to strike him in the heart. That is until a dark metal object intercepted it and knocked it off its course. Furious, the fallen angel looked to where the knife came from. There, she found two more teens about her victim's age. Though, it was immediately apparent that they weren't human. The killing intent blasting from the male was enough to clue her in. In her mind, no human could possibly have that much of ki. Probably devils. The girl engaged her first, moving faster than expected. A knight? She didn't recall either heiress to have a blue-haired knight. The boy similarly didn't appear in her intel. A pair of strays? She deflected the girl's initial attacks, but found herself overwhelmed. Thus, she took to the skies to get some distance. Martial arts rarely translated to aerial combat. As such, she was surprised when the girl disengaged entirely and moved over to that pervert while the boy engaged her. He used his wings mostly to keep floating a little longer, but most of his combat skill was focused on leaps and dodges. He was able to somehow redirect her light spears back at her without touching them. She sensed it with the first hit. Senjutsu. That boy was a sage. Not good. She was nowhere near strong enough right now to fight a sage. She would have to wait until they extracted that sacred gear. That one strike was enough to paralyze her left arm from the shoulder down. Rainier almost cried out in pain from just one attack. In her life, Rainier has faced a sage only once. He was fighting nothing like the boy in front of her, but the attacks he used were devastating. It took an entire squad to take him out, and he took half of them with him. Frantically, she started to fly away. She had no chance to win here now. Consider yourself lucky, you useless waste of space. She spat in the direction of the pervert before flying off into the night, and using the teleportation matrix the moment she had a moment to concentrate. The day after the date, and dealing with the fallen angel, but we need to have the priorities straight, Naruto arrived at Koa Academy practically jumping. He and Hinata walked hand in hand, generating an obscene amount of rumors. They also completely missed the glares that Issei was sending them. Their merry day was interrupted when Yuto Kiba entered the classroom. Uzumaki-san, Hyuga-san. If you would please follow me? His ever-polite would fool most if not all students, but to a trained ninja, he might have as well said I'm annoyed with something and you were a part of it. That and he struck Naruto as an avenger, like Sasuke. Behind him, Issei seemed to be tailing him too. He gave Naruto a dirty look that the teen shrugged as jealousy. They were led through the school to the old academy building, which now housed the Occult Research Club, which was also a cover-up for the Rias Gremry's peerage that was active in Ko. Same as Students' Council was Sona's cover. Damn, Naruto needed to figure out his own cover soon. He still had to stay here until he graduated, which would be a pain. Hey, why is he coming with us? Naruto pointed at Issei. I thought that you know they're not supposed to know. Bucho will explain everything. Kiba shrugged. He led them into the building but didn't enter the main club room. The trio did though. When they passed over the doorstep, the sound of a shower running hit their ears. Wait, what? Who would take a shower in the middle of the day in a semi-public place? Their collective confusion was short-lived when Rias Gremry stepped into the room, followed swiftly by Akino. Luckily, not so for Issei, she actually put some clothes on. Rias' lush, red hair was still wet though, which was a tell that she was indeed under the shower just a moment ago. Hey Rias-chan. Why is the pervert here? Era. Feeling threatened, Naruto-kun? Akino grinned. Don't worry. I'll be ready to console you if Hinata decides to drop you for some other guy. I promise to be gentle at first. She giggled, making Issei almost trip. Where did the Yamato Nadeshiko go, and who was that imposter? Not that he would mind if she wasn't only focused on the irritating blonde. He's mine. Hinata possessively grabbed Naruto's shoulder and pulled him to her. The fact that her generous chest now enveloped his arm was completely unintentional. Once she realized what she did, the girl blushed but didn't back down. She trusted Naruto with a lot more important things. Like her life in battle, for example. For now. It sounded like a promise, which made the Hyuga just short of murderous. Akino, don't tease Hinata-san. Naruto-dano. She took a seat behind her desk and motioned for him to sit on the opposite of her. Oh. He was in danger. Rias never referred to him like that unless he was in big trouble. Come on, Rias-chan. Whatever you think I did, I can assure you it's not as bad as you think. He raked his brain, trying to figure out what he might have messed up. Sona-chan didn't rope you into one of her punishment schemes again? Era. You know very well what you did. Maybe a little punishment will restart your memory. Okay. That's slightly disturbing. The shinobi looked at Rias, queen. She started to remind him somewhat of that crazy proctor, Mitra Shurenko. Now, Naruto-dano. Do you really have no idea what you did wrong? Perhaps last evening? In a park? It finally clicked. You mean the fallen angel thing? I did send you a letter about it. A letter? Issei looked at the blonde like he suddenly sprouted a second head. You mean an email, right? What's an email? This made the other boy start laughing. A good one. I almost believed you. He isn't joking. Tujo Kaneko spoke from the sofa, startling the pervert. Naruto and Hinata seemed unaffected. Probably because they already knew she was there. I sometimes forget that you are still unfamiliar with most of the modern technology. You're for real? Sadly, yes. Rias shook her head in dismay. I thought Sona-chan would have already covered it. We're still stuck at the history and customs. Naruto scratched his neck in embarrassment. We might have there were some incidents. He gave her a cheeky grin. Everyone knew what sort of incidents he was talking about. You don't know what's an email? Issei was somewhat slow on the catch-up. In his defense, what kind of teenager didn't understand emails? Why is Hayate-san here? Hinata asked. Why, you're looking at my newest pawn. All my pawns, really. Him? Naruto asked for confirmation. You bet. I'm a devil now. The boy proudly displayed his wings. Before you know it, I'll become a true harem king. He then turned to Hinata. I'm accepting applications. Naruto bonked him with a large stick. Down, boy. Ugh, you don't have to be so brutal. Just because you don't believe in me. Who said I didn't believe in you? Naruto asked, somewhat confused. Quite the opposite, actually. I met enough perverts to know not to doubt one. Kakashi-sensei, Hokage-jiji, Ebisu-san, Ero-sen, there was a lot. But Hina-chan is mine. The girl blushed at the possessiveness in Naruto's voice. So you think I can get a harem? You're not the first to try, certainly won't be the last. Naruto smiled. But if you truly follow your dream, nothing is impossible. Yes. Issei seemed almost revitalized. Gone was the jealousy. Will you teach me? Huh. Everyone seemed confused at the last one. You already have girls all over you. There is even a fan club. You're so far ahead on the road to have a harem. I want to learn from the best. Well, if you pass my test, the grin on Naruto's face spoke of trouble. Naruto-kun! Don't you dare! Hinata protested, but it was already too late. What Rias' shout was interrupted when Naruto formed a single Hitsuji, ram, seal. Oiroke no jutsu, sexy jutsu. In a burst of smoke, Naruto was replaced by a slightly older, female version of himself. She was now dressed like the day she was born, and the only thing covering her privates were thin wisps of smoke. She leaned closer to Issei and breathed close to his ear. That was enough to overload the perverted boy. A fountain of blood sent him flying away. That done, Naruto dispelled his transformation. Always gets them. Ofufu, it got hot in here. Or is it just some brain boiling? Akino laughed, looking at the poor knocked-out pervert. What was that? Rias looked only slightly scandalized. Mostly because of how perfect and detailed that illusion was. It was a bit disturbing. My ultimate pervert killer. After dealing with several perverted senseis, I developed a range of different transformations. Works like a charm every time. He giggled before receiving a gentle smack to the head from Hinata. That aside, I called you here because you apparently failed to properly erase Issei-kun's memory. It was lucky that he had one of my summoning pamphlets. His desire for answers was enough to call me. I'm pretty sure my clone erased everything about Devil's existence from his mind. What about fallen angels? Hinata asked. Naruto searched for the right memory for a bit before finally remembering. Oh. Well, perhaps I shouldn't fault you, it was your first time actually doing it after all. Yeah. Quick question. What's a summoning pamphlet? You don't know? Rias was stunned. It was basic knowledge. How was Naruto supposed to grow in power without contracts? A short explanation later, Naruto was pacing the room. He called 2 shadow clones to bounce ideas with. It was a total mess since they mostly spoke in half sentences. If we. It might. But what about? Did you? It might. It went like that for a few minutes, causing a headache to anyone listening. Hinata was somewhat used to this, but to someone who had limited interactions with Naruto, it could even be scary. The 3 copies kept each other focused on a task, and what one thought out, the others would as well with only slight prompting. It was something Naruto discovered during his training. What's the effective range of those things? Well, in theory, they can reach to Earth from Hell, so as far as I can tell, there is none. Okay, but does the distance matter? Like, is summoning more taxing based on distance? Or responding? I don't believe so. At least I've never heard of any. It's mostly basic teleportation magic. The spell might take longer to zero in on the summoner, but it's not that hard. Naruto dispelled the 2 clones and summoned a different one. Go write down everything and send it to Ajuka-sama. Naruto was being official. This was big. Naruto-kun? I might have a way to get us home. All this time I was experimenting with Fuinjutsu, whereas an answer was right in front of us. Were you able to return to your world and establish a teleportation circle? You might create a stable passage for your peerage to move between 2 places easily. Rias realized. You and your clan would have a monopoly on a continent half the size of Europe at the least. Shinobi never bothered to measure the entire continent. The individual lands often argued over specific strips of land or something like that, but no one to this day just calculate left to right in a straight line. The fact that Shinobi travel distance was much too unreliable to use, Naruto and Hinata weren't able to actually compare the Shinobi world to Earth. He's from another world? Issei has awakened. It seems you'll have your hands full. Are you sure you don't want to take over our education, Rias-chan? Naruto pleaded. Sona-chan refuses to teach me anything useful, and it seemed that Tsubaki-chan isn't much better for Hinata. She mostly teaches me things like appearances and management. It's not that different from back home. The girl lowered her head a bit. I will talk to Sona-san, Rias promised. How hard could teaching those 2 be? And if she managed to get Naruto to take her on a trip with him, she might find some shinobi interested in joining her peerage. From what she heard about his world, there were plenty of ninjas that would be willing for such an offer. If they were a tenth as talented as Naruto, she might still have hope. She could think of several right off the bat from his tales. It wasn't as easy as they thought. Because of course. Why would it be? Then again, the word impossible for Naruto meant roughly the same as hard for most. Demanding was just another Tuesday. On the bright side, it gave the two shinobi some time to learn more practical talents for devils of their standing. Basics of magic, teleportation circles, the works. Hinata at first found herself unable to use all but the simplest of techniques. She was able to teleport, and her innate power translated well to the boost of the Queen Piece, but it would take some time until she was able to match Akino in a pure magic battle. In turn, she had no match in hand-to-hand, but that's not there and then. Naruto once more proved to be a walking definition of anomaly. Despite fulfilling no contracts, he somehow had a near immeasurable amount of demonic power. At that point, Ajuka was about ready to pull his hair out. The boy seemed to be able to just throw spell after spell if he so fancied without feeling even a little bit tired. It was almost as if his chakra capacity directly translated to his demonic power capacity. Asked about it, Naruto had no idea what they were talking about. That being said, either shinobi slacked off in their ninja training. Hinata now had an unlimited supply of targets that she could practice Juken, gentle fist, on without worrying about hurting them. Naruto meanwhile mostly practiced his chakra control. In the notebook of Jiraiya that quickly became his most prized possessions, he found some notes on his training. He resolved to learn how to make a Rasengan without any aid from shadow clones. Then to make 2 Rasengans at once. To do so, he went back to the basics. Only this time, he had 2 dozens of shadow clones to help him. And another dozen making sure no QB chakra got out. Strangely, the fox seemed to be almost docile ever since Naruto arrived on Earth. A worry for another time. Naruto was so close to a breakthrough. He could feel it. With every pop clone, his Rasengan was getting better. He got the rotation and power down, now he only had to figure out the containment. Maybe if he... Naruto-sama. Hayate Issei broke through the doors of the spacious training room like a bulldozer. Please! I need your help. Haya. Hinata dropped on the intruder before she realized who it was. He earned it, Naruto reassured her when she started to feel guilty. Once they managed to bring the boy back to consciousness, he pulled a giant wad of cash. You're a ninja, right? They're like some ancient mercenaries or something. I need to hire you. He shoved the giant wad of cash at Naruto, who was too confused to refuse. Calm down, Hayate-san. Hinata placed a gentle hand on his shoulder. Explain what's the problem. So I met this girl. Seeing the unamused look on the kunoichi's face, he quickly backtracked. It's not like that. She was a nun, and I was just helping her around. We became friends, but then the same fallen angel as when I first saw you, well, the real you, came and kidnapped her. I tried to stop it. You wanted to go after her, but Rias has forbidden you. So you're now assembling a ragtag team to rescue her? Naruto figured out. By the way, Kiba-san, Kaneko-san, you can come out. The two walked from behind the tree. We're going into the enemy territory. I need your help. Issei pleaded. It's not about me. Asia-chan deserves something better than to die as a sacrifice for some fallen angel to get more power. Naruto understood. He should have been the responsible king and stopped the foolish excursion then and there. It was the correct thing to do. Risking war to save one life was exactly what he would do. He was Uzumaki Naruto, the #1 most unpredictable knucklehead ninja. Fine. Let's go. He summoned 3 shadow clones and had them start gathering nature energy. Kaneko frowned at that, but she didn't comment. Fried Selzen sat patiently in the main hall of the abandoned church where the fallen made their base of operation. He knew that the little devil would come running to try and rescue the nun. He would be able to gut him. He heard some commotion outside. They were almost here. He could almost taste the blood of his victims. Soon. The doors were blown to pieces by something. A girl with long hair was standing there. Knock, knock. A male voice chuckled. Before Fried even realized what was going on, a powerful punch sent him flying through the back wall. There is a secret passage behind the altar, Hinata informed. A large group of enemies. Mostly humans, but I count 4 fallen angels. The ritual has started. She was about to start moving when she spotted something on the edge of her vision. The exorcist is coming back. Naruto's initial punch sent him almost off the hill, but the man seemed dedicated if nothing else. He had several broken bones, but it didn't stop him. I'll take him. Kiba volunteered, but Naruto shot the idea down. No. Hinata is better suited for one-on-one combat. You'll be more help in clearing the path downstairs. Without much issue, Naruto crushed the stone plate that was blocking their way. Only a short run later, they've arrived in a spacious hall. There, on a stone platform, a blonde girl was crucified. 4 angels stood around her and worked some magic while the human cultists chanted. I thought that mad pervert was supposed to take care of any strays. The only male fallen grumbled. Let Asia go, Issei shouted. He was ready to launch himself forward. Naruto recognized the girl. This was the same girl that healed him and Hinata when they first arrived in this world. Ha! As if some small fries like you could fight all of us. A fallen that looked like a young girl laughed. The situation was disturbing Naruto on many levels, but one thing stood out strongly. This was like when he had to rescue Gaara from the Akatsuki. His eyes turned red. Issei. Naruto's voice was now hoarse. Grab the girl and get away. The others will secure your retreat. Tell Hinata to follow you when she's finished with the trash. Waves of killing intent started to radiate from Naruto. He did his best to rein the red chakra in, but he could feel his nature fight against him. Devils were more in tune with their desires. Now, he desired the fallen angel's blood. Issei gulped but nodded. Red Rasengan formed in Naruto's open palm. The orange pigment was gone from around his eyes, giving space to oppressive wisps of red chakra that occasionally radiated from the shinobi. You're the one that caused me so many problems. Reina recognized their opponent. You'll die. Despite the threat, she suddenly lacked conviction. In the face of such overwhelming killing intent, she realized that she might actually be out of her league. Right back at you, the devil growled. In a blink, he was gone. He reappeared in front of the childlike fallen angel with a red Rasengan in hand. The ball of chakra slammed into her stomach, sending her flying away. The other devils took it as a signal to attack too. Issei used promotion to get the speed of a knight. He would get Asia out, no matter what. Danasik was the first to begin counter-strike, but he was nowhere near close to countering Kyuubi-powered Naruto. A clawed fist slammed into his shoulder, dislocating the arm and making him stumble back in pain. He didn't make a sound yet. Kalawarna conjured a light spear and sent it out, but Naruto simply caught it. His hand sizzled for a moment before he crushed it into pieces, dispelling the light magic. The angels then fully realized just how screwed they were. Rainier didn't waste time and plunged her fist into Asia's chest. She pulled 2 glowing rings that she put on. Looks like the ritual was enough of success after all. A shame. That exorcist freak asked to get the body undamaged. No! Issei cried. He reached the podium and grabbed Asia's body. Reina laughed at the boy's tears. Take her and run, Naruto ordered through gritted teeth. Issei obeyed, but Reina decided to chase after him. Naruto was ready to follow, but Danasik, Kalawarna, and Midlet stepped in his way. The trio didn't look that great anymore. Danasik fixed his shoulder somewhat, but he now favored his left arm over the right. Midlet had a bleeding hole in her stomach. Not enough to kill her on its own, but certainly not pleasant to fight with. The Rasengan was able to grind some of her organs. Bad mistake. He saw his fellow devils retreat from the room. The attackers were trying to follow them, but Kaneko broke the ceiling, causing a minor cave-in. Not that he was worried. Teleportation circles existed. A large glowing circle of holy magic formed in front of the 3 angels. Danasik summoned a spear of light and aimed it at the center. You shall not pass! The array exploded in blinding light. When it died, Naruto felt himself in shackles with no access to his demonic powers or Kyuubi chakra. We've got you. This spell was designed to hold devils. No malicious power will be able to get. If you so much as move, the chains will burn your body with the pain of a dozen suns. Not move did those angels wanted to make it easier for him. Nature energy was, by definition, neutral. When he became a part of nature, he allowed the energy to flow through him. He allowed it to be mixed with his own chakra to create Senjutsu chakra. That knowledge was foreign to the angels. All of the sages they've heard of simply took the nature energy, together with the malice of the world. Thus, the spell should have held the young sage. The expression of surprise when he broke the bonds with ease would have been gold if Naruto didn't have more important things to focus on. Futon, Raisin Shuriken. Wind release, Raisin Shuriken. The powerful ball of wind blades slammed into the group of fallen angels, annihilating them in a matter of seconds. Another such technique tore through the cultists and reopened the exit. Naruto didn't bother with the remaining enemies. They were inconsequential. He had to make sure the others were safe. He chased through the corridor and arrived back in the main room. The exorcist was nowhere to be found, and Rainier was now kneeling on the ground in front of Issei. Her wings were broken and she sported several large bruises. She was bleeding too. Despite that, there was a flicker of defiance in her eyes. Your friends are no more, please surrender. Naruto had enough killing for the day. There were already too many deaths. No. I will still kill you all. The green light from her rings started to travel across her body, healing any injuries she had sustained. Naruto was about ready to spring into action and restrain her when a beam of red and black energy slammed into her from the back, burning her head, torso, and limbs. The only thing that remained were 2 silver rings. Rias walked through the broken doors with the kino in tow. Hinata walked to her boyfriend and pulled him into a hug. You gave her every chance, Naruto. She was about to attack again. It's still hard. It'll always be. The girl took no pleasure in killing, but they were shinobi. It was in their job description. The next few weeks Naruto spent trying to figure out how to create a stable connection to his world. Ajuka frequently visited the Uzumaki compound and helped with the research. Their plan to use devil powers instead of chakra seemed like a perfect solution if not for 2 problems. First was that the devil's teleportation between worlds required either to have an invitation or know a very specific combination of energies. After millennia, all devils knew how to get to Earth just fine. The problem was that for Naruto to zero in on his dimension was near impossible at the moment. The other problem was much simpler. Naruto had little reason to return to his world for now. Yes, having a method was perfect, but until Tsunade managed to somehow reverse the mess with his exile, it was better if he remained in hiding. He was all for going on another merry chase after Sasuke. Sadly, given that the Uchiha was now the #1 most wanted shinobi on the continent, the Hokage and Hinata threatened to tie him up and feed him only super chili and no ramen if he so much as entertained any thought of such chase without proper backup from Konoha. As such, they were still stuck, although there was a much more tangible chance of having a way home. Now, Naruto walked over to the occult research club for some more practical lessons about being a devil. Who knew that all it took to convince Sona to let go of him was a pink dye in the shower water supply? He was almost at the doors to the main room when he heard some lively talk inside. He at first thought that he heard Kiba and Issei, but then another male voice spoke. Something was not right. He crept toward the doors. There was a small gap, signifying the doors weren't closed. Happy with his luck, Naruto entered without making any sound. Why, Rias-sama is Riser's fiancé, of course, a blond man declared, pulling the clearly uncomfortable Rias closer to him. Naruto absent-mindedly reached for one of his kunai. That went beyond pervert and right into creep territory. That guy was really full of himself. I already told you, Riser. I won't marry you. She tried to free herself from his clutches, but it was proving to be a tedious task. Let go of Bucho, Issei protested. Kiba was alternating between nodding in agreement with Issei and glaring daggers at the man. Naruto sneaked next to Akino and tugged her sleeve lightly. She looked at him and was about to make a noise, but he made a gesture to have her remain silent. Using the fact that no one was looking, he stood next to her and relaxed. If he looked like he was there all the time, no one would notice he wasn't there at first. My parents promised I could finish college in the human world before I married. And you will. After we are married. Riser was persistent. I don't understand why you want to stay with this filth. He gestured at the room. He probably even didn't realize that he insulted his fiancée's peerage. Rias followed his hand and actually spotted Naruto standing there. He made a quick gesture to tell her to remain silent. Riser promises that after we are married you will be allowed to return. Riser will even visit you in this place. Riser took note of the deadly glares that some parts of the ORC were sending him. After Riser takes care of some unruly servants. A wave of killing intent washed over the room, making some of the weaker devils shake in their feet. No. I don't think you will. Naruto chose to reveal himself then. He released his own killing intent that's been gathering ever since he started to actually look at the man. His eyes turned red with black slits and his nails elongated. While Riser's ki might have seemed strong, it was nothing compared to Naruto's focused emotions. Even if Phoenix was a powerful devil, king, he had nothing on the shinobi. Naruto has been trained since a young age to fight and even kill. And when he fought to protect those he considered precious, there was no holding back. So when Riser threatened Rias and her peerage, Naruto simply showed his displeasure in the most efficient way. On the sidelines, he noted that Issei, Kiba, and Kaneko were now openly shaking and hugging one another. Akino seemed torn between fear and, for Naruto's sanity, let's go with adoration. Rias seemed unaffected at first, but she was completely still. Finally, Riser was trying to be brave while he searched for an escape route. Even Grafia looked slightly uneasy. I'm not sure who do you think you are to threaten Riser, but you've made a mistake. With a snap of his finger, 15 teleportation rings appeared behind the couch. From each, a woman or a girl appeared. Seeing that the flexing content moved past just the sheer killing intent, Naruto also created a teleportation ring through which Hinata appeared. I wasn't told there was another King Inko. Riser scoffed. Then again, with a peerage like that, you can't be anyone important. I think Kajuka-sama would disagree. Hinata quickly caught on to the situation and joined in the discussion. After all, he chose Naruto-kun to be the first to receive an improved king piece. Whatever. He is still a no one compared to the might of the Phoenix. While he tried to sound confident, it was clear that Riser actually stopped feeling so confident. You would stand no chance against Riser and Riser's peerage. Really? Naruto raised an eyebrow. Out of all your peerage members, I count only 7 are actual fighters. They are all veterans of many raiding games. Riser argued. You are clearly an amateur. He seemed to think on something for a moment. In fact, Riser can prove it. Mira. Kill that boy. He ordered, pointing at Issei. The pawn moved, releasing some killing intent. Rias got up from her seat, but she would be too late. No one expected such a blatant attack. And the pawn moved faster than even some knights. Therefore, it was an even bigger shock when shortly before she reached Issei, Naruto intercepted her. He was even farther away than Rias was, and definitely farther than Mira. It didn't stop him from getting in her path. Rasengan! The blue orb of swirling chakra slammed into the girl, sending her flying with enough power to send her flying through the wall and out into the corridor. Everyone was suddenly in arms. Rias' peerage all took a ready stance with Kiba summoning a sword and Issei calling his sacred gear. You overstep, Riser. Rias coldly accused. Issei-kun is still my servant. Ufufu. He must be punished. A shiver seemed to go through Akino at the mere thought. Hinata didn't say anything, but her Byakugan was now active as she glared at Riser. I agree. There was a puff of smoke in the corner, and Naruto gained orange pigmentation around his eyes. Enough. Grafia's voice carried through the room, making everyone back down slightly. Naruto and Hinata remained ready to take action at the slightest threat, but the other devils weren't as eager for a brawl as they were before. Stop acting like children and start behaving as proper for your station. For a moment, there was a tense silence. No one was quite willing to be the first one to back down. Finally, Riser relented under Grafia's glare. Slowly, the others also relaxed. Not Naruto and Hinata, though. The duo remained ready. I stand by what I said, Naruto growled, looking at Riser. You and your servants are just a group of pompous chickens. Before anyone from the insulted group could protest, Naruto continued. And I'll prove it. You insulted my friends. And tried to kill another. I demand satisfaction. Naruto-kun! Hinata protested. Naruto-san, Akino and Rias were sure the boy didn't know what he was doing. Is that so, Uzumaki-sama? Grafia cocked an eyebrow. Otherwise, her entire body language remained completely unaffected. It was impossible to tell what she was thinking. Yes. The teen nodded, unyielding. Please. What chance do you stand? You only have your queen, whereas I have a full peerage. Riser dismissed him, but not without a slight hesitation. You can't even participate in official raiding games. True. But I believe that none of the Mao-samas will have any problem with an unofficial raiding game. Grafia interjected. I see no problem with that. Naruto nodded. Riser scoffed. Fine. I will give you a week to train. Maybe at least you won't embarrass Ajuka-sama. He was preparing to leave, but Naruto stopped him. Why don't we raise the stakes? A little bet to make this battle actually worth something? Oh? Riser smiled in a way that would make little children cry in their cribs. If you so generously offer, I want your queen. He pointed at Hinata. Are you trying to insult me? Naruto growled. Fine. Hinata surprised everyone, especially her boyfriend, when she agreed. But in exchange, when we win, you will break the engagement to Rias. Riser laughed. That's perfectly fine by me. Cling to your hope for victory for just a little longer. It will be that much sweeter to crush you. You are wrong, Hinata spoke. She didn't yell, but in the silence, her words carried just as much power. We will not lose. And do you know why? Because you fight only for yourself and your own twisted pleasure. But we fight for our precious people. We are both shinobi of Konohagakure no Sato. And all Konoha shinobi thrive when they fight for their family, friends, home. This is the will of fire passed to us by the Shodame Hokage. Compared to that, you are nothing. Hinata's chakra started leaking from her, creating a visage of an angry lioness. You threaten those we all love, so we will take you out. The lioness roared, making some of the girls from Riser's peerage jump in fright. Even the more experienced ones were showing signs of unease. TCH. Will of fire. I am of the fire. I am the great phoenix. And you've overstayed your welcome, Rias growled. Begone. The peerage vanished in a large teleportation circuit. Once they were gone, the atmosphere finally relaxed. Hinata seemed to be barely standing on her feet. That display took a lot of her both mentally and physically. Naruto rushed to her and swept her off her feet. You were amazing, Hina-chan. He pulled her into a deep kiss, completely oblivious to anyone else in the room. When they finally came back for air, Kiba let out a low whistle. I must say, I did not expect such a show from you, Hinata-san. The girl stumbled upon her words, all courage seemingly gone when she got flustered. Ofufu, you sure work fast. Akino teased, pointing at the fact that somewhere during the kiss, Hinata shifted all her weight on Naruto and wrapped her legs around his waist. Now, pretty much everyone, Naruto included, expected Hinata to start blushing and perhaps even fall to the ground. Instead, the Hyuga only smirked. What? Jealous? Now, this was certainly the biggest shock of the day. The next week passed faster than anyone would have expected. Naruto and Hinata got excused from school due to a family emergency and officially left town. Unofficially, they were holed in the Uzumaki compound, working themselves into the ground before starting to dig. Naruto had confidence in their skills, but he wasn't going to risk anything. In the evening, they studied the various rules and loopholes that existed within the raiding game rules. Ajuka seemed oddly satisfied with the idea. Apparently, he was looking for a chance to show off his new design, though he hoped that Naruto would have some additional members before the fight. He tried to convince Naruto to search for a piece or two, but Naruto firmly refused. He would only add people he trusted to his peerage, and those that would be willing to join. As such, the list was very limited. It seemed that Ajuka got a whole team of researchers to work on establishing some sort of connection with the shinobi continent purely so Naruto could get more servants, and thus promote his creation. Naruto almost suspected there was something else to it too. In the end, the shinobi were as prepared as they would ever be. On the day of the game, Ajuka arrived to take them to the arena. He came bearing gifts. I'm not wearing that, Naruto shouted, pointing at the monstrosity that his patron brought. But it's the classic shinobi outfit. The devil seemed slightly confused. Nearby, Hinata was trying not to laugh. In theaters, Naruto argued while waving the black outfit. It was all loose black clothes, the type that would be very impractical. My assistant assured me that it is based on historical records of shinobi. Ah no. Even Naruto-kun's orange jumpsuit is better than this. Hinata finally joined the discussion. Yeah, Naruto agreed. Wait, what's wrong with my jumpsuit? Not now, Naruto. She quickly dismissed the subject. Fine. What about this? He pulled out another outfit. This time, it was a skin-tight black outfit with dark gray armoring on the abdomen and biceps. On the chest, there was an orange shuriken symbol. There was a Kakashi-style mask attached to the collar. Orange lines ran along arms and legs. What the heck is this supposed to be? Naruto raised an eyebrow in confusion. A modern ninja attire. I took your description and added a bit of modern tech to it. Ballistic plating, graphene weave. It's still not as good as whatever is it that you always wear under your clothes. Huh! Naruto was about to scream at Ajuka for looking through Hinata's underwear when he realized what he meant. Oh, the mesh bodysuit. It's honestly rather weak. It can't really stand up to a kunai, but definitely helps with micro-injuries. Naruto-kun, I mean no offense, but since when do you know a word like micro-injuries? Hinata looked at her boyfriend with a gentle smile. Meh. I did learn some things during my trip. Even if the context for most was different than it is now. What exactly is wrong with this one then? There is no way to blend in wearing that. Unless there was some change in fashion since yesterday, we would stand out like a sore thumb in any crowd. And if you need dark colors to help you hide, you failed stealth class either way. Ano as shinobi, all our clothes need to be at least passable in the crowd. Ajuka nodded, discarding the third case. There was no way that outfit would pass their judgment. He finally took the fourth case and opened it. This one was special because he actually just did as Naruto said, despite how much it argued with how shinobi should be. Then again, after hearing their explanation, perhaps this was what was considered the peak of shinobi? Riser and his peerage appeared inside the replica of Ko Academy. He initially wanted to pick something that would negate any home advantage that upstarts might have. He considered a desert as the battleground. They would have no place to hide there. In the end, though, he didn't want to just win. That was given. Riser wanted to humiliate them. And so he decided to give them the home ground advantage. The king looked out of the window, intending to make some potential last-second adjustments to his strategy. Not that he needed many adjustments in the first place. There were only 2 opponents against his 16. He is standing there. He noted. Uzumaki was on top of the old school building. His left hand was in front of his chest with 2 fingers pointing up. He was completely still and just looking directly at where Riser was. The devil could almost feel the gaze inside him. He shook off the uncomfortable feeling and turned away from the window. His peerage all knew their roles. There was no need for some glorious speeches. It's not like anyone could threaten Riser's victory either way. A school bell sounded, signaling that the fight has begun. Take them out, he ordered his girls. But try not to scratch the pretty girl. Time for that will come later. He grinned. A group moved through the foliage near the wall of the academy. Riser Phoenix Sama's 3 pawns and 1 rook, retire, Graphia's voice announced across the battlefield. What? But the game barely started? One of the remaining girls protested. Their unofficial leader hesitated for a moment, but she looked out of their hiding spot. The enemy king hasn't moved from his spot on top of the ORC. He seemed almost frozen in place. Now that the group was closer, she could see what he was wearing. Most devil kings went into battle wearing extravagant robes, preferring looks to practicality. Not to say their clothes limited them overly much. They relied on demonic powers instead of hand-to-hand combat. This king chose the opposite. He had black sandals and loose black pants. He also seemed to wear a sleeveless turtleneck shirt. Over his chest, he had a light gray armor held by 2 strips of similar material. Similar armor was over his forearms, attached to black gloves. There was a porcelain fox mask attached to his belt. None of the devils could know that it was the standard ANBU Black Ops attire. To them, he just looked unimpressive, which many devils equated to weak. Good. The lead servant thought. Their job would be that much easier if the fool chose to just stand there and let his queen do all the work. Get ready. Are you sure about it, Sirius? He could feel something was wrong. Riser-sama has given us an order. We are to distract Uzumaki while the others take out the queen. Thank you for that explanation. A new voice spoke from the middle of the group. The girls jumped back. Hinata was already in position. She took the Juken stance and smirked. Get her! The knight shouted. She managed to notice that the girl wore almost exactly the same outfit as Uzumaki did, only she had the lion mask instead. You're within the range of my divination. Hakurokujian Sho, 8 trigrams 64 palms. She moved faster than any pawn or bishop could track. Even the knights, whose speed was supposed to be greatly increased, could merely track her moves and were unable to react in time. Hinata got under the leader's guard and delivered a series of quick strikes to her midsection. The armor Sirius wore proved completely ineffective. By the 3rd strike, she was already unable to move. Hinata delivered 2 more before shifting her attention to the next enemy. Zwelana considered herself a martial arts mistress. She had extensive knowledge and a fair bit of talent. She was also a rook. Her evil piece granted her increased strength and durability. She was supposed to be a venerable powerhouse in hand-to-hand combat. And yet Hinata simply pulverized her. She deflected the first strike on instincts but was unable to do anything about the following dozen. After the 3rd hit, it became apparent that even her rook durability was no help. Somehow, her attacks ignored any form of armor. Then there were the 2 pawns and Ayanli. They fell even faster. Being Nikomatas brought forth their doom all the sooner. Hinata was being generous with pushing chakra into the bodies of her opponents. Yugai had a form of chakra already in them. Taking those 2 facts together, Hinata's pain-inducing strikes spread through their whole body as opposed to just the point of contact. Carlamine wished she could run away. She had no chance fighting that monster. But her honor as a knight demanded that she took her opponent on. She charged forward with her sword ready to strike. Hinata actually paused when she saw her mad dash. Carlamine had a chance. Hakusho, 8 trigrams vacuum palm. Hinata thrust her open palm forward, sending a blast of compressed air. The attack was much less devastating than her initial onslaught, but it still stopped the night. Hinata prepared to attack when the world became fire. She didn't even register how did it happen when the pain was so sudden. She kept track of every enemy. There should have been no surprises. Yet somehow the enemy, Queen, got a drop on her. Riser Phoenix Sama's 2 pawns, 2 knights, 1 bishop, and 1 rook, retire. Graphia's voice announced across the battlefield. Hinata still pushed through the pain to stand up. Hakusho Kaiten. 8 trigrams palms revolving heaven, she spun in place, pushing the debris and dirt off her. She had to hold on just a little longer. Impressive. Yubelina floated above her. We haven't expected you to survive. You sacrificed half of your remaining forces to take me out? Hinata was panting. She could feel the pain across her body, but she didn't dare to look. She just had to buy time. It would have been worth it. Even with all the skill and power, Uzumaki won't be able to win alone. We just had to separate you two and then overwhelm you. Riser-sama and I are enough to deal with your king when he is alone. She started to prepare a spell. And how did you manage to sneak up on the Byakugan? It is called the all-seeing eye for a reason. That was something she just had to know. And it could get the enemy talking. You can see everything, that's true. That's why we just took you out from the distance when you were focused on the fight. I have more range than most give me credit. Thank you? That's all. She coughed a bit of blood. Juho Sashikan, gentle step twin lion fists. With renewed ferocity, she leaped in the air with a burst of chakra. 2 guardian lions formed around her arms. With a mighty roar, she slammed her attack into the enemy, Queen. Her world once more became pain. Uzumaki Naruto-sama's Queen, retire! Graphia's voice announced across the battlefield. Kuchios, Sunju Yatai Kazushi no Jutsu, summoning, triple food cart destroyer technique. A furious call echoed across the arena. 3 toads fell from the sky and smashed all around the old school building. They were all armed and dressed in human clothes, fitted for giant toads obviously. The blue one had 2 swords on its back. The one on the right had a shield and a 2-pronged staff. The one in the middle had a single katana. Naruto sat on top of Gamabunta's head. Over his ANBU armor, he put a red cloak with black flames pattern at the bottom. A replica of the one he had during the Pain's invasion. Riser Phoenix Sama's 3 pawns, retire. Graphia's voice announced across the battlefield. This meant that Riser was left with only 1 bishop and his queen. Kai! A small burst of chakra from Naruto dismissed a previously unnoticed gourd toad that was next to Naruto vanished in a burst of smoke. A Riser Phoenix Sama's bishop, retire. Graphia's voice announced across the battlefield. For the first time, she revealed an emotion, confusion. How? Yubelina gasped in surprise. After all, Ravel-sama was a phoenix as well. How could she be defeated? Simple. I sent her out of this stadium to Ma-Toad. Naruto smiled. Now it's your turn. Gamahiro and Gamabunta readied their swords. You better get that sake ready, Gaki. You've got it, boss. Naruto gave thumbs up before pulling a kunai. Pathetic. You call that creature your boss? Riser flew to the site of the battle on his fiery wings. You know? I think I'll pound your sorry ass for free. Bunta growled. There was something about that fried chicken that made him just plain furious by just looking at him. His face could really use a sword in Bunta's not-so-humble opinion. It speaks? Riser faked surprise. That's it. The Toad boss roared and leaped forward. He tried to bring his sword down on the Phoenix Lord, but an explosion redirected his swing. Yubelina floated in front of her, King. She sent more blasts at the Toads, who all jumped away in different directions. Gamaken used his shield to take the brunt of the attack, regaining the initiative. He swung his staff at the Queen. His attack was fast, but the devil was able to fly out of range. Gamahiro joined in with his twin blades. The Bomb Queen found herself slowly overwhelmed by the 2 giants. Despite their sizes, the Toads were almost unfairly fast and agile. And their size and leaps nullified any aerial advantage she might have had. Gamabunta and Naruto meanwhile took on Riser. The King fought against the single sword with an unrelenting stream of fire. While the chakra-conductive Toad sword was nearly immune to fire, the sheer pressure kept Bunta at bay. Gaki, we need to change strategy. I've got you. Give me some oil. Naruto asked while already weaving the hand seals for the jutsu he had in mind. The Toad boss recognized the request from his time with Jiraiya. Not bad, kid. Katon, Gamea Enden, Fire Release, Toad Oil Flame Bullet, Naruto and Gamabunta fired a steady stream of burning oil. While the pressure of the fire Riser sent at them was enough to stop the sword, it only added to already burning oil. And even the prestigious Phoenix clan, despite their boasts about ruling over all flames, couldn't control oil. The attack hit the flying devil. Burning substance got all over him. His eyes were hurting and he had trouble staying afloat. Manifesting his wings through the oil became a challenge in itself. Hearing her, King's pain, Yubelina finally made a mistake. The momentary distraction bought enough time for Gamaken to pin her to the ground with his Susumita. The explosions going off point-blank at her knocked her out. Riser Phoenix-sama's queen, retire! Graphia's voice announced across the battlefield. The two kings were now facing each other alone. Well, Naruto still had 3 giant toads. I've had enough of those beasts. Riser growled, looking at the place where his queen got taken out. The fire started to gather all around him. The oil that was previously slowing his moves sizzled and started to evaporate. Riser started to fire giant fireballs almost at random. The explosions glassed the sand and caused stones to melt. Toad's only advantage was their speed. They were able to dodge the furious devil's assault, but it was exhausting them. In just a few minutes, large chunks of the battlefield were transformed into volcanic wasteland. I'm sorry, Naruto. Gamaken bemoaned. I'm just too clumsy. And those vapors making me sick. In a large puff of smoke, the toad returned to his home at Mount Maiboku. I feel the chakra running out too, Gamahiro warned. I would say we have maybe one more charge in us. Let's make it count, Gaki! Bunta roared, brandishing his sword. You've got it! Naruto grinned. Hiro-san, I'll need some lightning. Boss, a mud stream would be nice. I hope you know what you're doing. The trio started to go through the hand seals for their respective jutsu. Naruto finished first. He inhaled deeply and looked down. The flames were eating at the remains of the stands. Futon de Tapa. Wind release, great breakthrough. A powerful gust of wind was fired at the ground. The flames, previously only small embers, lit up again. The chakra-enriched wind fed them. In a matter of seconds, the fire went from already dying to a fiery tornado. The air currents pushed it up. The sheer chakra expenditure of such an attack would have put most jonin down, but Naruto barely felt the drain. Waves of heat bathed the field, setting trees and ruins on fire again. The fiery tornado was then hit by a steady stream of mud from Gamabunta. The fire eagerly ate at the water, turning it into steam that started to give shape to the wild winds. The mud dried into the dirt. Hot winds tore at the chunks of earth, turning them into the sand. The whole tornado was now a giant grinder. More chunks of earth were ripped by it and turned into sand, feeding into the destruction. Gamahiro slammed his swords in the ground. The dry earth gave easily as cracks formed. He weaved some signs and lightning started to course across his palms. He grabbed the handles again and 2 arcs traveled through the blades, into the ground, then feeding into the maelstrom of unending carnage. With the lightning now reinforcing it, the jutsu became self-sustaining. Rasengan! Naruto leaped forward with a fully formed ball of spiraling chakra. He met with the tornado. At first, it looked like something would break. Instead, the chakra pushed the tornado, making it move toward the enemy. The pinnacle of destructive forces traveled across the battlefield, creating a deep trench. It tore through anything that wasn't already dust, adding it to its destructiveness. The flames heated the air, speeding up the currents. The rocks joined the formation, magnifying it. Water vapors got sucked in. Even the smoke above the arena got sucked in. The attack seemed unstoppable. The devil still felt the aftereffects of his rampage. He couldn't catch his breath. Riser managed to mutter a single curse before he found himself at the center of the maelstrom. The tornado remained for just a few more moments before it finally collapsed, further scorching the arena. Thanks, guys. Naruto nodded. He jumped off Gamabunta as the last 2 toads vanished in clouds of smoke. Slowly, the shinobi approached the epicenter of destruction. When the tornado finally collapsed, the mud and dust spread around, adding to the already destroyed landscape. You fool! Riser burst from under large chunks of burned rocks. His outfit was destroyed in multiple places, but otherwise, he seemed completely unharmed. You thought Riser can be defeated with some pathetic attack of yours? He laughed. Riser is a phoenix. We rule the winds and flames. The man boasted. With each defeat, we return to our full strength. I am back as new. That's totally unfair, Naruto grumbled. You have like infinite stamina. The irony, oh irony, was lost on him. I will admit, that attack would have won against any common devil. But Riser is a phoenix, so it is all for naught. You can't defeat me. Soon that pretty queen of yours will be mine. Rasengan! Naruto interrupted his big speech with an orb of condensed chakra to the gut. The devil was sent flying back. You really talk too much, Naruto snapped at the man. The big jutsu in the end took out almost all of his senjutsu time. Now he had to wait until his clone got the chakra ready. On second thought, perhaps he should have let his opponent brag for a bit longer now. No one threatens Hinata and gets away with it. It's futile. You can hit me all you want. Riser got up and dusted himself off. His stomach was already regenerating from the flames. You are impressive. Truly, were you born a devil, you would have a bright future. Such strength is rare. No. Naruto looked Riser dead in the eyes. What? So you don't believe in your power? Riser laughed. I suppose I might be overestimating you. That's not it. Naruto formed a one-handed ram seal. You are wrong in that I needed to be born a devil to have a bright future. Naruto dispelled his clone, regaining the orange pigmentation around his eyes. He started to let nature energy once more travel across his body. From the day I was born, people told me I was nothing, that I wouldn't achieve anything. I didn't let it slow me down. I wanted to become the Hokage, to earn their respect by force and become the strongest. It took me years to fully understand. Even if you are born with some super cool power, that won't make you strong. You can only truly become strong when protecting your precious people. That's why no matter what you do, no matter how many times you get up, I will beat you. Because I fight to protect my friends. My family. And what do you fight for? Chakra started to gather around his open palm. First a Rasengan, then Rasen Shuriken. The wind picked up again, feeding the flames. This time though, the wind was much stronger and killed the dying embers. Naruto's ultimate jutsu simply overwhelmed the demonic fire. Senpo Rasen Shuriken. Sage Art, Rasen Shuriken. Naruto dashed forward before sending the jutsu careening at Riser, who simply stood there, his eyes widening for a moment. At first, it looked like Naruto won. The moment the wind jutsu crashed into the devil, it exploded into infinitely many miniature wind blades that shredded everything in range. Even immortals would have trouble dealing with being cut at the cellular level. When the carnage finally stopped, Naruto fully expected to see his opponent defeated. And yet Riser stood there, completely unaffected. Riser told you that wind and flames hold no power of Phoenix. We rule the winds and flames. Damn it! Naruto cursed in his head. It's almost like he's a perfect counter the entire me. He started to go through his options. Wind release is useless, and he can heal from physical damage. I can't hope to outlast him with his infinite stamina. And he won't drain chakra. Looks like I'll need to pull another page from your teachings. Erosenin. He chuckled at the memory of his training. Okay. So forceful won't work. So you now see the futility of this situation? Surrender now and I might be generous and give you one of my servants as a consolation prize. Riser dared laugh at Naruto. No. But you might want to surrender. Because I sent that little sister of yours all the way to Mount Toad. And only I can bring her back. What are you talking about? Simple. I trapped her in a gourd toad and then cancelled the summoning, thus ensuring she was sent back to Mount Myoboku. Naruto smiled innocently. Which is all the way back in my home dimension. I've actually tried to return that way, but I can't send myself through that method and Hinata refuses to go without me. But it doesn't stop me from delivering messages. Or prisoners. What are you babbling about now? Riser groaned. Just accept your defeat already. Why should I when it's your sister who is now completely at the mercy of the how did you call them filthy beasts? Despite the grim threats, Naruto retained a completely innocent tone and appearance through his aggressive negotiations. Why should I care? The devil shrugged. She earned it by failing me. Naruto did a double take and reached with his senjutsu. Either Riser was the best damn liar in the world or he truly didn't care. She is your sister. Surely you must care what happens to her. No. Not particularly. I keep her in my peerage mostly for appearance's sake. Every harem needs a cute little Imuto, am I right? Riser seemed to ponder on something. In fact, you can keep her. That blind queen of yours will fit quite well as a bishop. Naruto was stunned. For someone to just abandon their sibling? To not even care about what happens to them. All his life, he wanted a family. He wanted to belong. So he made his own family. At first small, then bigger. Now he had many precious people that he was willing to fight for. And in this new world, he found even more people to call friends. To call family. Meanwhile, Riser already had his family from the start. He wasn't Sasuke, whose family was taken away. He wasn't like Hinata, whose family shunned her. He thought that everything he wished for belonged to him. And now he thought he could take away Naruto's family by selling his own sister to him? Not likely. Naruto let out a furious roar. He needed to somehow contain that Yakitori's power. He needed to hold him down and force him to surrender. He felt his chakra respond. At first, he thought he was sensing something on the outside, but then he could feel the chakra inside of him move around. It started to gather near the middle of his back. Senjutsu chakra mixed into it too. Without warning, it exploded out of him, forming golden chains with sharp ends. 9 in total. They wiggled and waved behind him. While in any other situation, it might have caught his undivided attention, Naruto wasn't exactly thinking rationally at the moment. He just got a new tool that he could use to defeat the flaming bird. To Risers, and all of the spectators' surprise, the chains were able to rival the phoenix flames that the devil kept firing. The ethereal, golden chains could bat away the fireballs or cut right through them without suffering any damage. Naruto reached Riser with near unmatched speed. It seemed he blurred where he stood just a blink ago and reappeared in front of the phoenix. His chains shot forward and pierced the devil's arms and legs. The flames tried to heal him, but the chains were stuck there. Riser couldn't heal while his wounds were still pierced. The chains lifted him up. 2 more went through his stomach. A small stream of blood leaked from Riser's mouth. Naruto lifted him higher, and then smashed him into the ground. The chains went through the devil and pinned him to the ground like a butterfly to the wall. Any attempts at regeneration were constantly halted by the chakra chains stuck in his wounds. The shinobi kept his distance, and the chains were invulnerable to Riser's attempts to burn through them. It's over, Riser. Naruto still had 3 chains free. How did you? The devil coughed some blood. What have you done? Honestly? I don't know. Naruto shrugged. He had no idea what those chains even were, only that they were connected to his chakra somehow. You have no right! Release me at once. I demand it. No. You are beaten. Surrender. The shinobi threateningly moved one of his remaining chains above Riser's head, and the other over his other head. You think you scare Riser Phoenix? You think you can win? The devil laughed. Riser is immortal. You can't kill Riser. It seemed he didn't notice the other chain. So to make the message clear, Naruto moved the second chain a bit closer to the target. This made Riser go completely still. You wouldn't. I'm a shinobi. We don't follow the rules all that well. As long as the mission gets done. Naruto shrugged again and smiled at Riser. So ready to give up? The man gulped. Fine. You win. I surrender. Naruto appeared in an opulent room. Instead of some hospital like he expected, he instead found himself in a large dressing room. There was a mirror and a vanity table. Everything was either plated with gold, marble, or another expensive material. Whoever built this place must have spent a fortune. Naruto idly noted that even most of the daimyo palaces he's visited didn't have such displays of wealth. Ah. Good. Young lord is here. A man in his late 30s entered with several others following. They all wore black suits with the emblem of House Gremory. Without further words, they started to try and undress him while others prepared some new clothes. To be fair, Naruto's armor didn't exactly come out of the fight unscathed. While he avoided most if not all direct hits, the heat damaged the fabric. And he had a giant hole in his back now. Seems his new chakra chains were stronger than the ANBU armor replica he asked Ajuka to prepare. But this didn't mean they had the right to try and stuff him into a suit. Hey! Can't you just get my previous clothes? He dodged an attempt to put him in a dress shirt. I am sorry, young lord. Your pre-battle attire is not fit for the wedding. What wedding? Naruto jumped back further, using his chakra to stick to the wall and get away from the crazy servants. The wedding to Lady Rias? I believe that was what the match was all about. Who gets to marry heiress of the House of Gremory? The lead servant bowed. Lord Riser specifically ordered preparations to the wedding to commence a week ago. Lords Phoenix and Gremory agreed to move the date of the wedding forward. With all respect, one of the younger servants interjected, I fear not many expected a Phoenix to lose. Although that means my bet probably just set me for life. He had a dreamy expression on his face. Whoa. Let's stop for a moment. I haven't agreed to any wedding. Before any of the servants had a chance to explain things further, the doors of the room were forcibly open and several men entered. Leading them was none other than Riser himself. I demand a rematch. You can't just steal my Rias from me. This wedding is crucial to the devil's survival. Can someone explain to me what is going on? There was no talk about any weddings just this morning. Ajuka spoke before the more heated devils could. Forgive me, Naruto-san. I had not mentioned it as I believed you have been told of the arrangements. When the news about the bet, the man that looked like Lord Phoenix, by his wealthy attire and resemblance to Riser, clearly was unhappy with the whole situation. He scowled at the mere thought of the bet. When the news reached us, Lord Gremory and I agreed that allowing for further interruptions could be devastating for the devil kind. Therefore we pushed the wedding forward. That's not important, Riser protested. What is important is that you've cheated. I demand a rematch. I didn't cheat. I made sure to play by the rules. Naruto gave them a cheeky grin. One of Jiraiya's many lessons, creative application of rules is not cheating. What about those giant toads then? Lord Gremory asked. Or the fact that you've sent poor Revel away to places unknown? Right. That reminds me. Naruto quickly went through several hand seals and bit his thumb. Kuchio's no jutsu, summoning jutsu. A small toad appeared in a burst of smoke, accompanied by the blonde girl. This toad had a purple marking on the top of her head. Naruto-chan. The toad smiled. You must be getting much better at summoning us to here. You've got it, ma toad. Naruto gave her thumb up. I hope she wasn't too much trouble? He nodded toward Revel, who had already run to her father, and his behind his cape. Not at all, dear. Shima dismissed his worry. She was a perfect lady. And she got just in time for dinner. I so rarely get an opportunity to have guests at dinners. Oh. I feel the chakra is running low. Take care, my boy. She vanished in a burst of smoke. See? You've summoned outside help during the fight. That's cheating. Before Naruto could defend, Ajuka stepped in. Why it might not seem obvious at first glance, Naruto's technique is not a summoning by the devil's definition. Seeing that others didn't yet understand the difference, and Naruto didn't seem to be all too ready to explain, he simply continued. In the raiding game rules, it is forbidden to summon help. But I did analyze the summoning technique Naruto uses, and it would not be classified as summoning. It is much closer to conjuration. What? Preposterous. We've clearly seen him summon 3 intelligent toads. They were not summoned, Ajuka repeated. A summoning would mean they are able to stay indefinitely, and be independent of the summoner. The toads were only sustained by the energy Naruto provided and vanished the moment that energy was used up. It can be compared to creating a construct and giving it a unique personality. But. You've witnessed his shadow clone technique, I believe, which is quite similar. There is in fact no way for us to tell between the clones he makes and the toads he summoned. For all we know, the toads could have been his clones with added properties. Ajuka shrugged. He noticed that Naruto was about to protest and gave him a cold glare. And what about sending my daughter away to those monsters? It's also not banned. Banishment is a legitimate strategy. Only most devils don't use it because we lack proper spells to do so. She was returned perfectly unharmed. Ajuka pointed out. She should have been retired the moment that toad thing disappeared. Lord Phoenix argued. Perhaps, but that is not cheating, but a failure of the mechanics. One that I will be looking into. Ajuka seemed unmoved by any arguments. Besides, accidents happen in those games. Satan glared at Riser. The devil actually looked a bit apologetic in turn. There seemed to be some history there. Naruto finally had enough. I made sure that everything I did was within the rules. Now I want to know what's this about the wedding. I won, so the wedding is off. That's not quite as simple. The man Naruto recognized as Surzex Lucifer spoke. Yes, well, as no one honestly expected you and your queen to defeat someone as experienced and talented as Riser. The wedding ceremony starts in 2 hours. Lord Gremory seemed to try and glare at Naruto, but he couldn't quite get the scary part. He looked like he tried to frown, but the shinobi could spot some traces of a gentle smile on his face, which was honestly confusing. Then just cancel it. We can't just cancel what is to be the event of the year, if not the decade. The older redhead protested. You've organized it in barely a week. Naruto pointed, slightly irate. And besides, I'm sure people will understand. After all, nobody expected my victory. The teen pointedly glared at the men. Ajuka coughed, which sounded suspiciously like I did. Surzex was kind enough to pat him on the back to help with the coughing. He didn't need to put so much strength in it, though. The reigning Lucifer smirked. I think the solution is obvious. The wedding can proceed, only the groom will change. For a moment, the young devil was confused. He won, right? So Rias wouldn't have to marry anyone. Then it dawned on him. Just for a moment, his mind started to create some interesting scenarios before he got a grip on himself. Nope. Naruto took a step back. Nada. I refuse. But you've fought for the right to marry her. Lord Phoenix raised an eyebrow. No. I fought for her right to choose. Besides, you can't expect me to marry someone I've just met. Bachan would kill me when she heard about it. Then maybe a compromise? Grafia offered. Naruto almost jumped back. He didn't notice her all this time? If I may. The wedding could proceed but at the later date. Meanwhile, to not waste all the preparations and lose face, we can turn the ceremony into an engagement party, as it was originally intended. Her voice revealed no emotions. Neither did her face. Naruto was honestly surprised at how well she was at hiding her thoughts. That would be acceptable. Lord Gremory nodded. But that means I still have to marry her later. I didn't agree to that. She was supposed to choose. The shinobi still protested. Besides, what about Hinata? She's my girlfriend. I'm not breaking up with her. Nope. Find a different way. I failed to see a problem. Riser scoffed. He was practically fuming that his complaints were now already forgotten, as was his challenge. Just because I was taught by Jiraiya of the Sannin doesn't mean I'm a lecher. Like some people remained unsaid, but it was clear from the tone and the glare Naruto sent to Riser. He idly noted that all of the adults perked at the name Jiraiya, but luckily Ajuka came to the rescue before questions could be asked. I believe it's one of those finer details of our society that you were not yet taught. The Satan gave Naruto a pained smile. Polygamy is quite common among high-class devils. What? The teen's eyes widened. You know that devils have troubles with maintaining the steady population. It was deemed quite beneficial to allow the devils to have harems. Ajuka recalled another tidbit of Naruto's world trivia. If what you've told me, it's also not exactly uncommon in your world. I have several problems with that idea, Naruto protested. Chief being that I would need to talk with Hinata first. She is my precious person and I'm not about to make any decisions about our relationship without consulting her first. She should be getting out of the infirmary soon, Grafia informed. I will lead you to her. Naruto put on the dress shirt and marched after the maid, buttoning up on the way. She won't protest much, Surzex called after him. That went well, all things considered. Lord Gremory sighed. The reigning Lucifer immediately got more serious. With the amount of power he showed, many will be wary of him. I don't think Naruto's even aware of what he achieved. Ajuka sighed. That boy is too humble for his own good. Stubborn though, Lord Phoenix noted. What about my rematch? Riser whined. He already destroyed you once. Next time you won't even have an element of surprise. His father chastised him. Accept the loss with dignity. Naruto stood in front of the crowd, wearing the suit that was finally forced onto him by the combined effort of Grafia and Hinata. Are you sure you're okay with this? He looked at his girlfriend, who was equally well dressed. She chose a sleeveless, modest dress that yet did nothing to hide her figure. Yes, Naruto-kun. I already told you. Besides, Ajuka-sama warned me that it was a possibility when we first became devils. Hinata smiled. She gently placed her hand on her boyfriend's shoulder. I had time to accept it was a possibility. I can still run. I'm pretty sure I figured a way home already. Naruto tried. He was still not convinced about the idea, but the alternative for Rias would be to go back to being engaged to Riser, and he wasn't about to let that happen. That's great news. Hinata actually considered it for a moment. They could just return to the shinobi world and just stay there forever. But then she dismissed the notion just as fast. But we can't just leave Rias in the pause of that she tried hard to figure out a fitting insult, but she came blank. I guess you're right. I just fear I'm no better than him. The whole multiple relationships thing, forcing Rias into a marriage she didn't choose. You want to give her that choice though. Hinata protested. And you'll respect her wishes. It was a statement. One that Hinata had total faith in. Naruto just wasn't sure if it was a compliment or a threat. The pair waited a bit longer, avoiding any serious topics. Finally, Rias entered the room. Her dress was burgundy-colored, with white accents added. She looked stunning. There was also something different about her. She seemed lighter. Not to say she lost weight, but the way she walked. Naruto might have been an idiot when it came to interpreting the signals, but Jiraiya at least trained him to notice even the smallest change in a person. It could mean the difference between life and death during the fight. Of course, the method of teaching was by whacking him with a stick at random times of the day until Naruto learned to notice the tells. Now, Rias had more energy in her moves. She no longer tried to control the smallest gestures. The redhead made her way toward the podium with Akino accompanying her. So you're my new betrothed, it would seem. She looked up and down at him and smiled. She squared her shoulders and hid both her hands behind her back, which served to further emphasize the size of her assets. Naruto gulped. Yeah? Behind him, Hinata squeaked. Ufufu. Evil Shinobi-san won Bucho's hand and is now gonna take his prize. Akino grinned, seeing Naruto got further flustered. It's not like that, Naruto whisper yelled. I tried to stop them. Does that mean you wouldn't want to marry me? Rias asked, dejected. Am I not good enough for you? And no. The teen stuttered. I mean, well, Hina-chan. Help? He begged his queen, who giggled. You're on your own, Naruto-kun. She watched her king dig himself a hole. It's. Lord Gremory stepped to the lectern and began a speech. Naruto was never as thankful for a save as then. He even tried to listen to his droning, but it was impossible. There was so much about unity and obligation that even someone like Danzo would start to gag. Naruto-kun? Rias whispered. Thank you. She gave him a peck on the cheek, earning whistles and applause from the audience. And a light glare from Hinata, although she didn't seem to be too angry. It was more of a token protest. Also, she had small blush on her cheeks. Naruto tried to remember if it was there all evening, but he couldn't recall. Somewhere on the Shinobi continent, a toad appeared in a poof of smoke. It wandered into the nearest city and started to deliver flyers. Most people ignored it, but some would take them. If someone was willing to train a toad to do the advertisement, they might have something worth taking a look at. The same event happened in many towns all across the land. The toads would deliver some of the pamphlets, and then vanish without anyone the wiser. Most people didn't even register that it was a toad that gave them the flyer in the first place. It wasn't until a week later that the first client used the pamphlet and achieved proper results. It was already dark when the woman followed the instructions. At first, nothing happened. Then, a large orange array of symbols spread in front of her. From there, 2 people floated. They had bat-like wings, which was the first thing that became evident in the near blinding light. After the woman's eyes adjusted to the light, she could get a better look at the newcomers. The girl wore a black kimono with lavender obi. Underneath it, she had a mesh armor bodysuit that covered her corpus and legs, going down to 1/3 of her shins. She also had a byakugan, betraying some connection to the Hyuga clan. The boy was perhaps much more interesting. He similarly wore a mesh armor bodysuit. Over it, he put a black kimono-style shirt with orange lining and loose black pants. On his right leg there was a kunai pouch put over wrapped bandages. He also wore burned red haori with a black flame pattern on the bottom and the collar. More notable, though, were his blonde hair and 3 whisker marks on each cheek. Uzumaki Naruto? She stumbled over her words, not believing what she saw. The teen went missing over 2 months ago. Hey, Hina-chan. It looks like it worked, the blonde commented, looking around. They were clearly in some sort of office, but the architecture and some loose knickknacks all pointed to the Shinobi continent. Naruto-kun, the client is waiting. The girl nudged him in the direction of the woman. Oh. Right. Hi. As you've seemed to already know, I'm Uzumaki Naruto, and I'll be your devil for today. What's your wish? He appeared to check his palm for something after he said it. Then he nodded to himself. Devil? You're a nuke-nin of Konoha. How did you get into my office? How did you get those wings? What's going on here? Who are you again? Naruto had a bad feeling his luck turned against him in this situation. Besides, I'm not a nuke-nin anymore. Bachan finally sorted that mess. I'm Terumi Mei and I'm the Godame Mizukage of Kirigakure. That's certainly unexpected. Naruto rubbed the back of his head. Hinata just resisted the urge to face Spam. Of course, their first potential contract was a foreign kage. Why couldn't it be some merchant or at least Gaara? Hokage Dano has explained the troubles behind your exile. But she didn't tell you anything about devils, right? Hinata guessed. I admit, my knowledge in that area is lacking. Through some unfortunate chain of events, Naruto-kun and I were reincarnated as devils. That is indeed interesting information. Before the discussion could continue, the doors were forcibly kicked down and a man ran inside. He had bluish-gray hair combed into a mouse-up manner. He wore a blue kimono with a white finish. Mizukage! He prepared to attack the intruders but hesitated when he noted the wings and the relaxed atmosphere. His stolen Byakugan had detected a strange burst of energy different from chakra. This is a private meeting? Naruto joked, trying to defuse the atmosphere. What are you two doing here? Who are you? The energy was still in the air. The two seemed to generate it with every breath or move. It felt unnatural. Ayo. Did I not tell you not to interrupt me? Please forgive me, Mizuki-sama. Their energy. Energetic young, they have youth that I don't. I'm old, I will never get married. Ayo. Get out before I kill you. Mei's otherwise relaxed presence became full of killing intent, which sent the older man running away. Please forgive the interruption, Devil-san. You said you can fulfill my wish? Well, yeah? That's what we're here for. He gestured to himself and Hinata. And what will it cost? Mei was a gentle person, but she was also Mizuki and knew better than to assume anything would be free. That would depend on what you want. Deals with the devils never had a set price. It was all dependent on who wanted it, and what it was. Hinata helped to clarify by launching into a more in-depth explanation. I want to get married, Mei proclaimed once the girl finished. She looked about ready to beg on her knees. Please, Devil-san. You're my last hope. Well, you see. Hinata was torn between blushing furiously at the thought of being married to Naruto and glaring daggers at the hussy who was trying to seduce him. She already had to share with Rias, who at least was somewhat justified. It also helped that Hinata wasn't opposed to sharing Naruto with Rias even before the wedding mess. Mizuki, on the other hand, was just desperate, and Hinata knew next to nothing about her. I'm already too old to get married and no one dares to even approach me. So, just to clarify, you want to get married. You don't need to marry Naruto-kun, right? Hinata really hoped that their first contract might actually work, but there was a limit. I wouldn't be opposed to. Mei winked at the boy and gave him a saucy smile. Okay, let's get back to your wish. Naruto unconsciously shifted closer to Hinata. What kind of man are you looking for? He should be strong, and caring, and handsome, and he should be kind. And she kept listing qualities that Naruto's shadow clone noted down. After the scroll ran out of space, Hinata finally took mercy on Naruto and stopped the Kage. Okay, I think we've got enough. Now, what is the problem with you getting married? Beyond the impossible requirements, obviously. I'm old. Look at me. The woman lamented. My skin is rough. My lips are small. My breasts are saggy. And my face has wrinkles. Naruto tried to follow the list of imperfections, trying to spot any at all. He gulped when the talk about the chest came, but he swiftly moved to the face part. He didn't find anything wrong with her, though. Terumi-sama. That's not true. I wish I looked as good as you. Hinata cheered the redhead. Yeah. Any woman would wish to look like you when they're 20. I'm 31. She revealed. Oh, given the shinobi's life expectations, anyone older than 43 was already considered past their prime. 31 wasn't that bad, but it was also pushing it a bit. What? Hinata protested. You don't look older than 24. I wish. Everyone knows I'm already too old. We could de-age you, Naruto offered. What? Mei's eyes widened to almost comedic proportions. Really? Hinata looked at her king. Yeah. I mean, devils can alter their apparent age almost at will. I don't know why it shouldn't apply to others. Naruto pulled the device he received from Ijuka and put de-aging into the system. Here. He showed Hinata that it accepted it without trouble. It says that the price for de-aging you would be for you to teach Hinata 1 jutsu for each year younger you'll become. And 1 in 3 must be at least A rank. He showed her a screen as proof. Deal. I want to be 20. No. 18. 11 years? 13? Naruto looked a bit conflicted. You would need to ask Bachan for her miracle genjutsu. Naruto wasn't sure he wanted to know just how big of a mess it would cause if it suddenly became known that the Mizuki was now 18. Deal. Ayo, she called. Immediately, the man came in rushing. What is it? Why did you call him? Naruto didn't expect that. I can't just leave for Konoha without any warning. The next 5 Kage summit is in 10 days. Until then, at least Ao should know about the miracle. And I thought that he should see it, or he won't believe me. So we have a deal? Naruto asked, smiling. He extended his hand, which the Mizuki gently shook. Naruto, I'm still not sure if that's how those deals are supposed to work. Hina-chan. You worry too much. Naruto shrugged and summoned a magic circle. Ao and Mei watched in amazement as more and more circles spread from the original. The demonic script shifted and changed in front of their eyes. Finally, the spell formed to look somewhat more like a gate. I set it for 18. Now you just need to pass through it. The devil stepped aside, making sure to keep the spell running. Mizuki-sama. Please don't do anything rash. You worry too much, Shale. She dismissed the man and stepped through. Once the spell washed over her, she transformed. Her body lost perhaps an inch in height, and her curves became more prominent. Her hair became much more lush and vibrant. She now had a body that even Rias would be jealous of. What sorts of jutsu is that? Oh, no jutsu. That was pure devil power. Naruto chuckled. Now you can work as the Mizuki, and later when you appoint a successor, you'll still have some years to marry. Amazing, but how? A simple pact with the devil. The blonde gave him a cheeky grin. Hinata come for the promised lessons later this week. We still need to go see Bachan. With that, the two devils walked over to the window and jumped through. Mei and Ao ran over just in time to see the two devils fly away on their wings. It took the duo a whole night to fly over the sea that separated Kirigakure from the solid land. The sun was already rising when they finally landed on the beach. Their wings ached so badly that Naruto was half convinced they would fall off. Hina-chan, why can't we just teleport there? He begged. Because you didn't set up a teleportation array, and you know it already. She giggled at the overly expressive visage of pain on his face. He was such an actor sometimes. But that means we have to walk all the way from here to there. Well, we could wait here. Maybe tonight someone else will summon us that is already closer, but we might also end up in the Yuki no Kuni. Then the flight will be even longer. She teased him. Immediately, Naruto stood up. Right. No sense wasting time. He marched forward, making Hinata stifle a light laugh. She caught up to him and the two entered the pleasant shade of the forests of High no Kuni. They opted out of traveling through trees for several reasons. For once, they were somewhat tired after an all-night flight, so a calmer pace was in order. Then there were their clothes. Rias made them put on something that screams power and influence for their first voyage into new territory. First impression matters. While Naruto's clothes were okay to travel in, and he could always just take the overcoat off, Hinata's clothes weren't in any shape or form fit to jump across trees. Her kimono was adjusted to Hyuga combat standards, but not to jump through treetops. Thus the duo found themselves walking through the colorful forest, quietly enjoying the trip. Somewhere along the road, Naruto absent-mindedly grabbed Hinata's hand. She only blushed a little this time. It was already past noon when Naruto suddenly paused. What's going on, Naruto-kun? Hinata activated her Byakugan just in case, fearing a potential ambush. I'm an idiot. We've been walking all this time when I can just do like Erosenin, and do this. He quickly blitzed through the hand seals and bit his thumb. Before Hinata could do anything to stop him, he slammed his palm into the ground. In an enormous burst of smoke, a toad appeared. The two devil shinobi found themselves standing on top of its head. I could have sworn I summoned Kichi. Naruto sheepishly scratched his head. Yo. The toad spoke. Kichi? You've grown a lot. Duh. You didn't honestly expect me to remain child-sized, right? Well, no. But just 3 months ago you were only slightly taller than me. I finally hit my growth sprout. The toad proudly proclaimed. Oh, that's great, Kichi-san. Hinata awkwardly patted his head. But we were trying to remain incognito. Naruto-kun had hoped you wouldn't mind helping us get to Konoha a little faster. Ah. Tough luck then. Should have called one of the bull toads. Those guys are small but strong as 2 horses. Gamakichi shrugged. Well, since I'm already here, might as well give you a lift. It's been a while since I could have stretched my legs. Great. With Naruto's proclamation, the toad started to leap away in the general direction of the village hidden in the leaves. It also seems you're finally back in the right world, eh? Kichi began. Yeah. The flyers were an even bigger success than I hoped. I already got my first contract. Nice. The boys said they enjoyed the work. As long as you keep up with chocolate supply, they'll be happy to do the work. Perfect. I'm gonna need to order several crates of those things. Naruto referred to the chocolate bars that he paid to the toads that delivered his flyers. They were mostly young frogs, much like Gamakichi was when Naruto first summoned him, maybe a bit older. You mean I am going to order more? Hinata joked. Naruto was still learning how to fill the various forms. Hinata's training as queen covered such things much earlier. Well, maybe. I should still learn how to do it myself. You shouldn't be doing all the work. Naruto shrugged and turned back to Kichi. How's Boss Toad? Pop's great. He's preparing to retire, and I'll be taking over in a year or two. The small talk and catching up continued for most of the trip. Even with the toad's help, it was already dark when the group entered the more familiar territory near the village. I think that's far enough, Hinata offered. We don't want to attract too much attention from the village. You've got it, girl. Gamakichi lowered his head to allow the duo to get off. Thanks, Kichi. See you around. I might summon you later this week, eh? Pops promised to take me to one of his koi nights, and I'm sure you could come too. Nice. Just give me some notice before you pull me there. It might be awkward if I vanish in the middle of something important, Naruto called. He and Hinata stretched for a moment. At some point during the travel, they decided to sit down and not strain their legs too much, but now they were feeling stiff, Naruto more so than Hinata, who had some natural flexibility to her. That done, they tested their wings and prepared to fly toward Konoha. They would enter at a high altitude under the cover of the night, and go to Hokage Tower, where Tsunade would be waiting for them probably. Or where they would wait for her. As they flew, the shinobi could enjoy the view of the village. It was slowly rebuilding after Pain's invasion. It already looked close to the early pictures they've seen in history lessons. If they kept the pace, the village would be back in no time. The night lights illuminated the streets where people wandered. Konoha was rising from the ashes like a phoenix. The two happily flew right through the open window of the Hokage Tower. Naruto had enough experience avoiding patrols that no one so much as thought about them. It seemed that the barrier around Konoha was still not up though, which was somewhat worrying. Tsunade wasn't here yet. Hinata had to physically restrain Naruto from taking the chance to sit at the Hokage's desk. That chair was so inviting though. The joke on them was that Tsunade walked in to see the two shinobi roll on the ground wrestling. Maybe I should come in later? She offered, amused. Both teens immediately leaped on their feet, blushing a ton and then some. No. We weren't doing anything. I swear. Hinata meeped, blushing red at the implication. Right. Tsunade was having entirely too much fun with this. Well, if we're done with that, come here, Gaki. She pulled Naruto into a bone-crushing hug. Ack. I can't breathe. The boy wasn't able to react in time and save himself. Stop complaining. You were gone for 3 months. Do you have the slightest idea how painful it was to not know where you are? She finally let him go when she noticed he was becoming somewhat purple. I sent you letters regularly mostly. There were some incidents along the way. Like when he gave the messenger toad his homework instead and packed the report into his backpack. That was fun to explain at school. This is different. She took her seat behind the desk and pulled out a bottle of sake. This calls for a toast. We still technically aren't allowed to drink. Hinata tried to point out, but Tsunade only laughed. Who said I would even be willing to share? She took a swing from the bottle and smiled. Now I think you should hear the good news directly from me since you're here. She paused, looking between the two shinobi. Naruto's been pardoned. He's once again welcomed in Konoha. It's amazing. Hinata hugged her boyfriend, who this time at least didn't have to fight for his life. Yeah. That's amazing, Ba-chan. How did you get the daimyo to agree? You didn't explain that in the last letter. I simply reminded that accursed manchild that if he doesn't get his head out of his seat, you might simply decide to move on. I might have insinuated that you were planning to permanently leave the continent as a whole. That finally made him sweat. She groaned and took another sip of her sake. That fool actually believed Danzo's speech about Konoha being safer without you. He thought he was being smart by making you go on a mission without an actual mission being issued. Can you believe that crap? So I can really come back? Permanently? If you really want, we will be more than happy to have you. Tsunade smiled. Hinata shyly raised her hand. Ano, maybe we should think on this a bit? She didn't want to bring the celebratory atmosphere down, but there were things that had to be said. Huh? What do you mean? Well, what about your obligations to Rias-chan? We've already decided that you won't stand her up. I never go back on my word. Naruto protested. We will figure something out. Maybe she can move here? While I have no problem with you, Tsunade interrupted before Naruto got too set in one idea. He was almost impossible to convince then. I would appreciate it if you didn't invite foreign devils near Konoha. But why? And what about our friends? I told Rias she could come and visit. Besides, she's my fiancée, so she will. Tsunade got up from her seat so fast at the desk, and more importantly her sake, almost tripped. He lifted Naruto by his scruff and moved him closer to her eyes. I swear, if you're following that pervert's footstep now, I'm gonna rework your face until even your ancestors will be unable to tell you apart from a particularly ugly fish. Hey! It's not like that! Naruto protested, trying to save his precious face. Tsunade-sama, Naruto-kun didn't do anything wrong. Hinata came to his rescue. Reluctantly, the Hokage put him down. Talk. Okay, so Rias-chan was supposed to marry that total douchebag. Like I dislike you so I'll kill you guy. I might have sort of offended him. Seeing a pulsing vein on Tsunade's forehead, he quickly added. He talked bad about Rias-chan. And she was totally uncomfortable. So anyway, we kind of threatened each other. So I challenged him to a rating game. It's how the devils resolve their differences, so I was told. Hokage-sama, I was the one who decided to help Rias-chan that way and offered a wager. If Naruto won, Riser would break the engagement, and if Naruto lost, I would join Riser. Hyuga Hinata! Tsunade glared at the girl. That bet was extremely foolish, and I'm the one saying it. Her love for gambling was a well-established fact. I know. Hinata bowed her head in shame. But I couldn't just watch Rias-chan be signed off to that ugh. She still had no words for Riser, which was rather telling to the Hokage. Yeah. Riser was a total slime bag. Naruto solemnly nodded. But we kicked his ass. Right, Hina-chan? Why yes. She blushed at the compliment. Okay, but how does this equal to you getting freaking engaged? Well, in the original version I was supposed to be already married. Naruto decided to correct her, but judging by the glare it wasn't the right thing to say. He quickly continued before he accidentally killed the Hokage with an aneurysm. No one believed I would win, but to avoid someone else trying to break the engagement too, they pushed the wedding to the day of the game. Apparently, the game was the prelude. And wasn't it fun to learn that you getting beaten was supposed to be the main attraction at the wedding of the sleazebag doing the beating? Good thing Naruto was better than they gave him credit for. Also, somewhere in the chain of communication the bet somehow turned into the winner gets Rias. He wilted under Tsunade's glare. It's not my fault. I swear. She huffed. I sure hope so. I refuse to let another super pervert grow under my watch. If I may, Hinata decided to budge, and since Naruto's way of telling the story was rather convoluted. With a nod from Tsunade she started. Devil Society is like a noble court. The Gremory family is related to one of the daimyo of the underworld. Breaking off the wedding after Naruto won Rias' hand in combat would not only be a grave insult, it would make his already shaky position that much weaker. Hinata paused to catch a breath. If Naruto broke the deal entirely, nothing would stop them from finding someone else to marry Rias. Maybe even Riser again. She blushed, remembering the last detail. Ano, there is also that Devil Society is polygamic, so Naruto didn't really have good arguments to even try to negotiate much. I see. Hearing the entire story, Tsunade was no longer angry. She was no stranger to courtly politics, and this was quite a common situation if she was being fair. Okay, Gaki. You get a break since I know you and you can't stop yourself from saving damsels in distress. Does it mean Rias-chan can come here? I have no problem with 1 or 2 devils coming on a tour, but opening a stable connection and inviting large groups is just begging for trouble. Especially now when the 5 great villages are so tense. Mizukage mentioned something about a Kage summit coming soon, Naruto mused. When the Kami, did you manage to speak with Mizukage? Tsunade almost spilled her sake. Luckily, the precious drink was saved. That reminds me. Bachan, would you please teach Terumi-chan your super henge? Naruto. Hinata lightly smacked the back of his head. You can't talk about Mizukage like that. After today she's our age. What else should I call her? Okay, before you brats melt my brain, maybe explain it to me from the beginning. The Hokage requested, feeling the headache coming. After hearing the story, she indeed had a big headache. I'm not even gonna question anything about this, she sighed. I got just one request. Naruto and Hinata looked at the older woman impatiently. Make me young too. She was seconds away from kneeling in front of the duo. Naruto really couldn't understand women. Or people in general. Why was every powerful man a pervert and powerful woman obsessed with youth? Wait, Bushier Brow Sensei was obsessed with youth, and he was powerful. Time to end this line of thought. While Naruto's brain was desperately trying to abandon that particular train of thought, Hinata was quicker on the uptake. We can make the deal. Great. Where do I sign? Tsunade was jumping into it head first. Naruto finally rebooted. He pulled out the device and entered revitalizing. How young do you want to be? Put me in at my sweet 25. No. 20. I want to be 18. Tsunade spoke in a dreamy voice, slightly unnerving both of the devils in the room. Maybe let's start with something simple. Getting you back physically to how your henge looks, Naruto offered. That'll be good enough. She grinned. I will show that vain cow what a real woman looks like. She muttered, seemingly forgetting that devils had enhanced senses. Okay, so 30 years off will cost you a blanket permit to recruit any Konoha shinobi I want into my peerage. And the free run of the Scroll of Seals. What? The woman screeched. That's an outrage. Naruto simply showed her the device screen as the proof of concept. I'm not the one who makes the rules. Tsunade grumbled, but went to the back of her office and pulled the scroll from its hiding spot. And about that recruitment, I can simply permanently reassign them to your team once you actually reincarnate them. Great. He focused on recreating what he did the night before. Gate of Eternal Youth, he declared as the glowing rings with a combination of shinobi seals and demonic script formed. Step through it. And so Tsunade found herself once more no older than 25. Her bones returned to their previous strength, and her skin was now smooth and almost unblemished. I've gotta go train some. See you later. Naruto was about to leave with the scroll, but Tsunade grabbed the back of his shirt. Not so fast. You and Hinata-san are leaving with me the day after tomorrow. You'll be my guards for the 5 Kage summit. Just 2 guards? Naruto scratched his head. Seems risky. It's tradition. This time, the daimyos are also meeting at the same time as the Kage, so we will still have a large group of shinobi to protect the meeting place as a whole. Besides, did you just call me weak? Tsunade cocked an eyebrow. Wah! Naruto used his wings and the momentary distraction to fly out of the window. The Hokage just waved her fist threateningly after him, but once he was out of sight she started to laugh. As the new day rose in the village, many citizens were greeted by the sounds of explosions, and even some earthquakes. Get back here, you bastard! And a furious Sakura chasing someone around the village. Poor folk must have earned her wrath somehow, and no one was quite brave enough to try to stop either of them to ask. Hey, I just got back, Naruto retorted when she closed in on him while he was trying to take a sharp turn. You didn't right. Again. Naruto led her out of the village proper and into one of the surviving training grounds. Surviving not for long, but it was fine in the morning. Look, I really planned on writing, but I kinda well had no idea how. Tsunade-sama told me you wrote to her just fine. Sakura huffed. Her hand shot out, smashing into the tree to her left. There was a tree there. Then there were just some toothpicks instead. It's you. Troublesome. Shikamaru commented as he, Ino, and Chuji entered the, still standing, training field. Hi, Naruto-kun. Ino waved at him. Good to see you back. Tsunade-sama just told us you're officially back with the village. Yup. And Hina-chan's back too. She went to find her old teammates. Good morning to you. I am pleased to see you have returned, Naruto-san. Shino entered the area. Behind him was trailing Hinata, who was busy trying to get Kiba away from her personal space without hurting him. Kiba-kun, please drop it. She pushed him away. Oh, come on. You must have some juicy stories from your time away from the village. Where were you and Naruto? What did you do? Any hot ladies? That was the wrong question to say. While accepting, and maybe even a bit curious, about Rias' relationship, Hinata wasn't all that happy with being reminded about her shortcomings. Despite all the improvements in the confidence department, she still saw herself as someone who can't compare to the likes of Rias and Akino, who just exuded feminine charm. She grabbed the lapels of Kiba's jacket and lifted him with one hand before throwing him into the field. Hiya! Way to go! Sakura cheered. Impressive, Shino stated in his typical steady voice before he moved to help Kiba up. More compliments came Hinata's way, turning her into a blushing mess. You're amazing, Hina-chan. Naruto's voice broke to her, and she squeaked. With all the distractions, she didn't even notice when he got close to her. He pulled her into a hug, making the blush intensify. Oh? Is there another development we should know about? Ino teased with a small glimmer in her eyes. Sakura was already internally cheering. Well, Naruto smiled, subconsciously starting to fiddle with his index fingers much like Hinata used to. Anoi, his girlfriend, blushed so much that her cheeks were now roughly the color of Kiba's face marks. Kawaii! Ino screeched. She rushed to Hinata and tried to drag her away. Girl! Come on! I need that gossip material. It's the juiciest news since Shika broke with Temari-san. We could make it an outing, Sakura suggested. I'm curious myself, how did this finally happen? Meanwhile, we're going to get all the details out of you. Kiba poked Naruto's chest. Why not? We could go to Ichiraku's. Naruto shrugged. But you're paying. He got an evil glimmer in his eye. 59 bowls. Kiba cried when Choji presented him with the bill. Most of them were eaten by Naruto, but Choji also ate a respectable amount. What's worse, he learned practically nothing. Yes, he heard the story of Hinata's first date with Naruto, but beyond that, nothing. Whenever anyone asked Naruto about the details of where he's gone after he vanished, the teen simply avoided the question and changed the subject. Well, you did brag about that A-rank mission you finished alone. Choji munched on some chips. Yeah, but that's no reason to bring me to ruin. Kiba moaned as he paid what was owed. What a drag. Shikamaru sighed. Meh. Sorry. Naruto let out a loud burp. I kinda don't have any local money on me. Tell you what, I can. Naruto-san. They were leaving the new and improved Ichiraku ramen when Niji came rushing in. It's Hinata-sama. Lord Hiashi-sama, he wants to delegate her to the branch family. What? The group felt a momentary wave of killing intent wash over them, coming from Naruto. It was unfocused though. They weren't the target. Shikamaru also noticed that Naruto's eyes became darker. Instead of the usual cerulean blue, they were now red, with vertical black slits. Kyuubi. Take me to them. Now. What the shinobi didn't know was that Naruto was now a devil. He worked hard to almost never show this side of him, but devils were creatures of sin. And Naruto's dominant sin was probably greed. He hated things being taken from him and guarded anything he considered his with everything he had. His friends. His precious people. His girlfriend. His. With the speed that could rival the fourth Hokage, Naruto dashed toward where he could sense Hinata, leaving his friends in the dust. Kiba growled and was about to chase after him, almost equally furious, when Shikamaru put a hand on his shoulder. No. You must go get the Hokage and lead her to wherever Naruto went. We're gonna need her. He looked after the vanishing figure of his friend. Besides, I don't think you could catch up to him anyway. Naruto dashed across rooftops, with each leap covering at least 5 buildings worth of distance. His instincts were guiding him toward where Hinata was. He could sense her apprehension. She was in danger. 2 Hyuga branch members stood in his way when he approached. Hinata was enjoying the reunion with her friends when several Hyuga clansmen approached her. They informed her that her father wanted to meet her. It seemed normal enough. She even dared to hope that maybe he missed her. Oh, how wrong she was. The clan compound was still being rebuilt. While the living quarters were done, things like the meeting hall and training grounds were put on the back burner. Many villagers still needed their homes back. It still seemed strange that they were going out of the main village and into the forest. She first started to suspect something when one of her escorts, a branch member, gave her a pitiful look. When she pieced things together and tried to get away, a quick chakra-lace chop to the neck dropped her. Hinata woke up in the middle of a clearing deep in the forest of Konoha. She recognized this place. It was where she was dragged to during the Chunin exam invasion. Achuo-sama? Her father stood in front of her, with all the clan elders backing him. Next to him, Hanabi looked at her with a downcast expression. She seemed to be almost crying. You have shamed the Hyuga clan. You are weak. Hayashi's voice revealed no emotion beyond contempt. His face remained cold and expressionless. I tried to shield you. I held hope that you still held some potential. And yet you spat on my kindness and abandoned your post. You left your home village in chase of a boy unworthy of your status. A simple orphan who shouldn't even be allowed to be near you, undeserving of your affection. Enough, Hinata growled, startling several clan members. By now, no one expected her to show any backbone anymore. Say what you want about me, but leave Naruto-kun out of it. Hayashi marched to her and slapped her hard enough to make her head recoil. The pain itself was only an afterthought. She was a devil now. But the sting of humiliation, of betrayal, those hurt so much more. Insolent child. By the decision of the elders and with my support, you are hereby sentenced to join the branch family. Hayashi made a half-ram seal. He started to steel himself for what was needed when Hinata interrupted. No. I refuse. She effortlessly broke out of the hold the guards had on her, startling many. No one expected such strength from her. You have no say in this matter. The lead elder scoffed. For a moment, Hinata looked around. She wanted to escape, but her clansmen took a ready stance and would definitely stop her. She didn't want to hurt any of them. and using her more obvious devil power like flight would similarly be a bad idea. She still sometimes struggled with the memory erasing spells, and it would only delay this for a bit. She needed to somehow resolve it here and now. You say that I have shamed the clan, but Tsunade-sama has praised my actions. I did nothing to dishonor the Hyuga name. A weak woman has no hope leading the house. Your fate was sealed the moment you have shown yourself unable to even match a girl half your age. One of the elders sent her a cold glare, with others joining in. Maybe it is because you made me fight my little sister when she was half my age. Hinata let a single tear leave her eye. Excuses to hide your weakness. No. And I will prove it. She took the Juken stance and gave the elders a challenging glare. So be it. Her father stood in front of her and mirrored her stance. Fight. The lead elder called. Almost instantaneously, Hinata vanished from her spot, only to reappear in front of her father in a blur. Shoti, palm bottom, she tried to deliver a paralyzing attack to her father's midsection, but he avoided it and countered with a quick jab to her shoulder. She had to bend down to avoid his strike, which put her slightly off balance. Hayashi tried to capitalize on it, but he was just a bit too slow. Hinata rolled away from him before jumping back onto her feet. You're in range of my divination. Hack Rokujian Sho, 8 trigrams 64 palms. Her father dashed forward. Shugo Hack Rokujian Sho, protecting 8 trigrams 64 palms, she weaved a net that forced her father to disengage. He instead attacked her with the Hack Kusho, 8 trigrams vacuum palm, which she was forced to dodge. The duo met in the middle again, exchanging several fast-paced blows. Neither was aiming too hard, knowing full well that they stood no chance of landing an attack. Hinata was superior in speed and strength, but Hayashi still outclassed her with technique. His attacks were much more precise, he wasted less energy. No move was without purpose. Even the strikes that were not supposed to deliver the finishing strikes targeted her ligaments and muscle groups. He aimed to take her out with 1,000 small cuts, it seemed. And yet Hinata prevailed. Part of it could be attributed to her reincarnation as a devil. Her body was stronger, tougher. Her natural regeneration was now faster, allowing her to recover from the strikes. On the other hand, her strikes rarely connected. She was simply unable to regain the initiative and slowly pushed into total defense. Hakusho Kaiten, 8 trigrams palms revolving heaven, Hinata started to spin, exerting chakra from her body and forming a glowing dome. So you've finally learned rotation. Her father spoke in a cold voice. Sadly, too little too late. I learned much more, father. She weaved several hand seals, causing many observing Hyuga to scoff. Reijiki, lightning strike. She thrust her palm forward with fingers directed at her father, who used rotation to disperse the lightning attack. Orange light spread in front of Hinata's palm. A circle formed, filled with strange writing never before seen in Konoha. The circle split into 3, then a larger one formed around those. More scripts started to form. In the center, between the 3 circles, an Uzumaki spiral appeared. Disabling wave. Hinata called. The circle in her hand compressed. Then, a beam of light orange light shot right at her father. Hayashi once more used rotation to protect himself. A large part of the attack dispersed, but when Hayashi stopped his jutsu, he found himself moving as if he was submerged in the syrup. Each move was met with colossal opposition that could have very well disabled lesser shinobi. What sort of jutsu was that? He asked, trying to shake it off somehow. It was unlike anything he's ever seen. The energy she used was similar to chakra, but incomplete. No. That's not the right word. It was complete but different from chakra. It was almost as if she used only one of the components that made up chakra. Only spiritual energy. In all his life, he has never met a shinobi able to mold only spiritual energy. I've learned to turn my weakness into strength, she proudly declared. Since I dislike hurting others, I've created a technique that allows me to disable anyone without having to hurt them. Several of the Hyuga that watched the fight with their Byakugan were in a state of shock. For the absolute loser of a Hyuga to be able to defeat the head of the clan? Hayashi opened his mouth to say something, but he was interrupted when 2 of the rear guards suddenly flew into the field. They crashed roughly in front of him, creating shallow craters. Hinata looked behind her to see Naruto standing there, 9 golden chains flailing behind him. For a moment she thought his eyes were glowing red, but after looking closer, she recognized that beautiful cerulean blue that she could get lost in for days. Right. The branding. Leave. Hinata. Alone. This is a clan matter. It doesn't concern you. One of the elders warned. Leave, Fox. You're not needed or wanted here. As if on command, many of the branch members gathered around took a battle stance again and turned to the young devil. Let Hina-chan go and I'll leave. She shamed the clan and deserves punishment, another elder argued. No matter what skill she's shown so far. Or because of that. They couldn't let such power go now. Hinata-chan will be branded, and should you interfere, we shall be forced to subdue you. What claim do you even have to demand it of us? She is a Hyuga. Interfering in clan matters can have you banished. Again. Hyuga Hinata is a member of the House Uzumaki of the Underworld. Naruto drew on his lessons with Rias and before that Jiraiya when it came to politics. He activated the sigil as Rias taught him. A glowing Uzumaki spiral formed inside 3 concentric circles. Opposed to the popular symbol on the Konoha vests, this one seemed much sharper. She is thus a vassal of the Mao Belzebub Ajuka, one of the 4 rulers of the underworld. To try and enslave her is a slight against me as the head of House Uzumaki and my patron, Mao Belzebub. As he spoke, the golden chains seemed to somehow get more intimidating. While before they seemed to be just wildly keeping enemies at bay, now they started to remind Hinata of Kyuubi's tales. You would turn against your village, boy? An elder mocked. This short time out of the village was enough to have you find some other master? He wouldn't need to against the village. A new voice spoke. Tsunade, Shizen, and the rest of the Konoha 11 stood at the entrance to the clearing. What is the meaning of this, Hyuga-san? The Hokage turned her glare at Hayashi. Hokage-sama. While I appreciate the visit, this is a private clan gathering. I don't think so. Tsunade scowled. Not when you're trying to brand one of my shinobi. There was a dangerous edge to her voice. She's a Hyuga first. We were guaranteed those rights by your grandfather himself. One of the elders waved his cane at her but quickly stopped under the combined glare of his fellows. Yes, that little tidbit. The Hokage gained a vicious smirk on her face. Shizen. Her assistant pulled a large scroll from her pocket and unrolled it. Under the Shinobi Code of Conduct, it is forbidden to put any active shinobi in any form of indentured servitude. While such circumstances do not prevent one from joining the Shinobi Corps, an attempt to force any active shinobi into such is an act of treason and shall be tried as such. While true, the decision to put Hinata in the branch family was made and signed while she was in exile, thus negating the law that protected her. Hayashi presented a different scroll. Danzo-sama agreed to pardon Hinata and leave her punishment to the clan. He signed on her transfer to the branch family. You want to play that game? Naruto smiled. In that time, she was already a member of House Uzumaki and a vassal of House Belzebub. Shut up, demon! A foolish branch member growled. He wanted to see that stupid princess get what was coming and join them in their suffering. Naruto's glare made the rash man take a step back. He wanted to run, but he still feared the main family more than the boy. As I see it, you can either let it go or try to take it to court. But I can promise you that it won't end well. Be careful, Hokage-sama. Hayashi seethed. You are playing a dangerous game. No. You are overstepping yourself, Hyuga-san. She shamed the clan. I demand some sort of recompensation. Naruto pulled a scroll out of his bag and tossed it right in Hayashi's face. The man tried to catch it, but Hinata's spell still slowed him down. He ended up getting hit right between the eyes. Although he did catch the item before it fell to the ground. When one of the branch members unrolled it for the clan head, there was a burst of smoke and a stack of gold ingots fell right on Hayashi's foot. I hope you choke on that recompensation. Hinata-chan is my queen. The unfamiliar word made several people look at him strangely, but he just growled. I'm not gonna abandon my precious people. Ever. And you're certainly not making her a slave. Yeah. She's like a sister to me and I'll defend her. Kiba joined in, standing right next to Naruto. Akamaru barked in agreement. Hinata-san is a valuable member of our team and I respect her skill and personality. Therefore, I will also defend her. Why? Because she is important to me. Troublesome. With respect, Hyuga-san, but you aren't winning this one. We will defend our friend. Choji also joined the line. Enough. Hinata screeched just as Ino was about to also speak. The blonde joined the line nonetheless, along with Sakura, Tenten, and Lee. Niji obviously couldn't join, but he stayed as far away from the rest of the clan as he could. I won the duel and you've received the gold. She had tears in her eyes. You have no more hold over me. If you really don't want me, I'm leaving the Hyuga clan. Murmurs spread across the gathered clansmen. The situation was certainly unique. In the past, no one has ever left the clan alive. You can't. She already did, Naruto growled. Show him, Hina-chan. As per her king's order, Hinata presented her open palm, where a circle almost identical to the one Naruto showed before appeared. This one had only 2 concentric circles though. Traitor! One of the Hyuga elders rushed at Hinata with his palm glowing. Time seemed to slow down. Naruto's golden chain shot out, and he stabbed them into the ground. 4 of them shot out right under the charging elder, restraining him. Another 5 appeared around the group, creating a translucent barrier. Kondo Fusa, adamantine sealing chains, several shinobi whispered in awe. Only now did they realize just what those chains behind Naruto were. The rest of the Hyuga are to return to their normal duties, Tsunade ordered. She glared at the elder who was still bound by the unbreakable golden chains, are going to the ANBU headquarters for interrogation. You just tried to assassinate an active shinobi in the presence of the Hokage. Hayashi knew when he was defeated. He ordered the branch members to gather the gold and left. Once the only remaining Hyuga in the clearing was Hinata, Naruto recalled the chains. ANBU were already waiting to take the Hyuga elder away. Almost immediately, Naruto pulled Hinata into a hug. He was about to ask how was she feeling, but such a question was dumb. Instead, he simply allowed her to hide in his chest. Ugh. If I see any of those bastards again, I'm gonna. No! Hinata protested as soon as she heard Kiba's threat. Why are you still defending those assholes? The boy growled. Because many of them don't have a choice. That is why I want to change it one day. Wanted. She lowered her head. You will. Naruto declared. I can't. I no longer have a chance at becoming a clan head, and I'm afraid I lost any support I might have ever had. Nah. Naruto grinned. I'm pretty sure Niji is still on your side. He tried to cheer her up. Besides, if you can't do it by becoming the leader, it'll just mean that I'm gonna have to work twice as hard to become a Hokage.